Yo, welcome to the show. Not the regular show, the live show. We call it the show. Behind the scenes. Connor in the house. Ball is life. Nicholas, Ernie, welcome to the Fantasy Football Show live. I'm your man Smitty, and today we have a whole bunch to talk about. Now, you may be wondering what happened to the background, Smitty. Well, I decided that I was going to move things around again. I'm more comfortable in the command center. Whenever I do an interview, I kind of sit back here anyway. So I figure I'm going to move everything back over to the command center. I'm going to move things back over to where I'm comfortable. And so we're doing it live from here, but we got different camera angles. We're going to be breaking this down from a bunch of different perspectives and make it feel a little different than the usual show. And it did allow me to put back my hat production line and customization, the gear, all the gear, the merch is over here. So I think it's going to be fantastic. I like the move back. I'm tired of having two different spaces, worrying about that space and that space. So I redid the studio. What's up, Dominic? What's up? Order, Chris, Connor, Alex Cruz in the house, people. And let's get to some of the news and notes around the league. This right here. Joe Burrow ahead of schedule and expected to play week 1 as of right now. I think it's important to note and remember that there is some concern about him being ready just in time for week 1. So we have to expect that there's a small chance he could have a setback. These things don't always go as planned in the sequence of things that you expect to happen, like in a row, like, hey, he can get to this phase of his recovery, that phase. He could have a setback. So if you're banking on Joe Burrow in 2021, you have to have at least a good backup, plan in place in case he doesn't go week 1 or he's hobbled a little bit or he takes a couple weeks to get going. But Burrow, to me, is a very sneaky good. Hit the thumbs up on your way in the door. Burrow's a very sneaky good QB1 if your plan of attack is to wait and strike QB late. And you could even potentially get a Brady or a Jalen Hurts or someone like that to cuff to Burrow so that you walk into 2021 week 1 without any kind of, bad, you have everything covered. You're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, big boy. Next up, not a ton of news, but there is a significant amount of news, I would say, that is hitting news wires as of right now. Chris Carson said he and Rashad Penny, I sometimes remind myself that Penny's even on a team. Rashad Penny, first round pick, never did anything, probably never will. Chris Carson said he and Rashad Penny can be one of the top rushing duos in the league. This would only be possible, I hate to break it to you, Mr. Chris Carson, if you do all of the work and together, yes, you are the number 1 running back in the league, bro. You're going to have to carry and shoulder pretty much all of this yourself. This is kind of like Christian McCaffrey coming out and saying, who's the backup to Christian McCaffrey right now? Who's the backup? Let's see. Because I don't know off the top of my head. Because they got rid of Mike Davis. McCaffrey. Christian. Depth chart. Rodney Smith. Or you could say Bonifon, maybe. Maybe Bonifon. This is like Reggie Bush coming out. Reggie Bush. Christian McCaffrey come out and saying, hey, me and Rodney Smith are going to be the best duo in football in 2021. And Christian McCaffrey wouldn't be wrong. Rodney Smith and Christian McCaffrey are the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. Chris Carson. I don't even trust Chris Carson. I wouldn't be shocked if a rookie falls into the lap. Technically, Ravens kicks. We don't know. It looks like it's Rodney Smith, according to the depth chart. I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Seahawks drafted a rookie that fell into their lap and that rookie gets multiple starts in 2021. And I know my Chris Carson truthers are like, Smitty, you have to stop crapping on Chris Carson. He's really good. He is good. I've never debated that, but he definitely leaves you hanging. And if you're into that, if you love Sermon, man, imagine it. Sermon goes to the Seahawks, Chuba Hubbard, Gainwell. I could see Gainwell in a Seahawks uniform. I don't know why. But if you're into that kind of thing, like if it's your thing, bro, you love to the hype. You get Carson for, going firing on all cylinders for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and then he leaves you hanging. If you like that kind of thing, it makes you feel good. I got another player. His name is Joe Mixon, and if you draft him high, he will give you the same kind of disappointment. So totally recommend that route if that's what you like. If that's what you're into, I don't disagree with doing what makes you happy. Jalen Hurts, this is frustrating. This is frustrating. Where's my take a lap? Oh, I got it over here now. This is what I love. I moved everything back. It's all in one place. I'm not dividing all my technology up. I can hit my take a lap, take a lap, or take a. Oh, that music sounds good. I like the old music. I'm doing it the way I want to do it. Okay, I'm my own boss. I come in and I tell myself what to do, and for whatever reason. Oh, I had my announcer talking over me. Shut up! I'm my own boss. I come in and I told myself for some reason to divide my studio up in live show, regular show, and I just didn't like it. I fired myself, and we're gonna do it this way. What was I saying? And I like this music better. I'm going with the old music. I'm going with the music I use on my regular show. I don't care. I'm doing it because it's my thing. Do what I want. Mixon third round steal. It potentially is Dominic, and you will catch me saying that more times this year than you've ever seen before. Go get Joe Mixon. I do have a Release the Dragon clip. I didn't get it uploaded in time, I don't think. Hold on, I might have it here. Hold on. I can play it from my phone. So, the hold on, where is this at? Hold on. Where's the Release the Dragon? I got it somewhere in here. Hold on. Hang tight. There we go.
Hey, Smitty. It's time to let the dragon loose.
It's Let the Dragon Loose, Dominic. And I will have this queued up.
Hey, Smitty. It's time to let the dragon loose.
Loose. We're going to have that queued up in the controls here soon. For those that missed the inside joke there, that was from Tony. That's actually my announcer, my secretive beast of a man, known as the guy, the voice, the Voss. That's the Voss is what we call him now. You are now known as the Voss. Moving forward, the Voss. He sent me that, and he read my mind because I was going to request that clip like ASAP. And he comes in and he goes, Release! What is that? What does he say?
Hey, Smitty. It's time to let the dragon loose.
Thank you, Voss. I appreciate you. The Voss. Let the dragon loose. Now, this is very, very frustrating. This makes me want to... Something with the dragon involved in this. Like, I get angry. Believe in Jalen Hurts. What are you doing? It sounds like ownership wants to put everything... Like, go all in. Push all the chips in on Jalen Hurts. It sounds like the coaching staff... they just got rid of Doug Peterson, partially, if not fully, because they didn't believe in Jalen Hurts, and Peterson bench Hurts.
Hey, Smitty, it's time to let the dragon loose.
I'm letting the dragon loose on this one. I think whenever I get angry, we're playing that clip because I'm angry right now. You get rid of the coach in Doug Peterson that screwed up the value of Miles Sanders. We're talking about Mixon, we're talking about Carson, we're talking about Miles Sanders. These are the three disappointing people heading into 2021 because of usage, because of running back by committees, because of no room to run, and you have a coach removed from one of those situations. I actually do like Miles Sanders a little bit heading into 2021, and Mixon a little bit, but they have to be third drafted player value. They have to be third rounders. They cannot climb back into the second. Everyone was completely nuts that bought into Miles Sanders at round 2 value. Mind you, 14 overall. Like, his ADP was like 13, 14, 15, maybe 16 at the latest. Miles Sanders was getting consumed and grabbed and drafted at ridiculous value. High. When I say ridiculous, I mean like you're releasing the dragon a little too early, bro. You're taking Hurts at premature dragon level. No, I'm sorry. Miles Sanders. They get rid of Peterson. Who benched Jalen Hurts after he blew up his first start, struggled a little bit his second start, and then they bench him the next week. What is wrong with you? They fired Doug Peterson. We celebrate. We now know Miles Sanders might have a breakout party heading into 2021. And Hurts will be believed in. And no, they bring in this guy, Mr. Nick. Why? Jalen Hurts is an animal. He can run the football. He's got a cannon. You could, although I feel zero confidence whatsoever that the Eagles will make the right wide receiver decision when on the clock. Got something in my eye. If Devonta Smith is available at that number, 12 overall pick that the Eagles have, I now have zero confidence they would take Devonta Smith if he criminally fell down to number 12 overall. Which means that, and I'd actually be a little excited about this, because if Devonta did fall that deep in the draft, guess who takes him at number 13 overall? Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Imagine Devonta Smith or Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase catching footballs from our boy Justin Herbert. Herbert would not only be to the moon, Herbert to the moon, number 2-3 quarterback in Dynasty, but boy, would I be excited about the value of Devonta Smith in an LA Chargers uniform, getting me excited. So excited that...
Hey, Smitty, it's time to let the dragon loose.
Yes. Kenny says, I'm okay with competition. If he can't beat out Flacco, he shouldn't have the... Kenny, it's not about that. It's about the confidence. You need to hand the quarterback the keys to the vehicle. You can't just continue to doubt a man that you already benched during... what week was it? 16? Whatever. You bench your starting quarterback. It is not good for confidence building. Nobody walks in and says, Joe Burrow is going to have to compete for his job. And somebody, no offense, Kenny, I'm not going at you. I'm not mad at you at all, Kenny. Take a lap. But you don't do that. You have confidence in your player. At your job, Kenny, if your boss walked up and said, doing a great job, Kenny, you're doing amazing, but we're bringing somebody in to spark a fire under your arse, and if you don't do well, he's taking over. Open competition for your job, dog. You'd be upset, Kenny. It wouldn't motivate you. You don't do that to your starting quarterback, especially when you got rid of the previous coach for creating rifts in the locker room. The locker room was divided. They were upset. They weren't even divided. They were just upset. Like, give our quarterback the keys to the vehicle, okay? This is garbage. Garbage. And it makes me very pessimistic about the Eagles' direction and where they're going, because this could be a Buffalo Bill turnaround. I don't care about Flacco. We know Hurts will beat Flacco out. But, Kenny, they could draft a quarterback is what you could almost take from this. There has been talk that they tried to trade up to draft one of the big three quarterbacks. And I'm like, okay, this has to be fake. Fake news. It has to be. Apparently, it probably wasn't, because look at this boy right here. The new head of coaching deciding that he may not like Jalen Hurts. And he didn't apparently watch or consume any of the information that led to the firing of the previous coach named Doug. I like to bench my quarterback and never used my starting running back, Peterson. What's up, Jeffrey? Rager. They pass on Justin Jefferson for Rager. Okay, and I was kind of willing to let that go and go, you know what, new coaching staff, they're not going to bring anybody in that is going to do and repeat the same things that Doug Peterson did. But I'm starting to believe that Nicky Boy doesn't know what he's doing, because ownership seems to want Hurts in there. And you think they would have, and this goes to this is ownership's fault, that you interview a guy that is on board with the quarterback position. If the ownership wants Hurts to start, and you bring this guy in, and you haven't asked him the question, before we give you the job, Nicky Boy, are you going to be on board with starting Jalen Hurts in 2021? Or are you going to create more confidence problems for a young guy that's trying to get his feet under him? I love Jalen Hurts. Don't take anything away from this and try and apply it to that thinking. This boy can be a top 6 to 10 quarterback. This guy will beat out. I'm not worried about Flacco, Kenny. I'm not worried about Flacco. And I'm not mad at you. Take a lap. Take a lap. It's more about, are you supporting your team and players properly? Next thing we know, Nicky Boy is going to come out and say, we're going to go ahead and deploy a big competition for the starting running back spot, and not put our faith in any of the players that we currently have in those slots. That's what this team's doing, and that's why I am kind of fading the Eagle predictions that I had earlier in the year that suggested this could be one of the quicker turnarounds like the Buffalo Bills. I don't know anymore. I'm not saying I rule it out, but I don't know. Next piece of news, Antonio Brown. Looks like the Bucs GM said that they have had discussions with free agent Antonio Brown, who I firmly believe, although this is a guy that we could not figure out for the life of us last offseason. Who knows what drives this man, or what's going on inside his head, or not going on inside his head. But you'd have to think that he wants to return to this team. You have to think that at this point in his life, especially how he handled last year, not getting a lot of the targets and, you know, stat lines that he would normally want or he'd want out, he was happy. He was on his way to win a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl. I think he lives in Tom Brady's pantry. I'm not positive on that right now, but I think he currently, you know, is probably in negotiations about maybe moving into the living room. I don't know what he wants, but I don't think he's going to play that big a hardball. He's trying to get a deal done. So I do believe he'll find his way home. The question is, if he doesn't go home, does he fly off the rails immediately? I believe he will. I believe that this whole thing, him going into that Tampa Bay situation under the guidance of Tom Brady, just paused whatever was going on. Put it all in slow motion, because everybody forgets what kind of train wreck this man was. He was a train wreck, And then Tom Brady pulled him in like gravity, like a black hole, slowing him down and just grabbing onto him. I don't think he'll grab fully onto him. I think he'll slip away eventually. And when he does, he'll be crazy again. Because Tom Brady pulled him in, and the dude's in slow motion, looking like he's behaving in Tom Brady's pantry at home with the butler. Everything you'd want. Like if I was living in Tom Brady's pantry, I would behave too. All the food you want. You're living in Tom Brady's house. I don't know. I don't know if he's even there. That's what people say. But all I know is under the guidance of Tom Brady, this man is not causing any trouble whatsoever. Tom Brady's got him on lock. If he does depart, get ready for a roller coaster ride once again. But I do believe the Bucs want to bring him back. Brady wants him back. What Brady wants, Brady gets. And if he comes back, he'll be fine. But I am very interested to see what happens to this man once he falls off the Tom Brady wagon. So that's all I got to say about that. Next piece of news. Now this is interesting. Let me pull up the next couple pieces of news. So Fields, Gallman, Lawrence. Okay, so we've got some NFL draft news here. Justin Fields. Ian Rappaport reports Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields is managing epilepsy, but is not expected to interfere with his ability to play football. And it hasn't reportedly been a factor. But whether this sounds right or not, it's the way the human beings are. It's going to affect the way some teams view him, right or wrong. And I think that he's been able to control this. We don't even know the severity, and it's kind of shady for this to get leaked out now. It feels shady. It feels wrong. It feels unfair to a guy that's already been ridiculed in the media, probably way more than he deserves to be. There's nothing. Everything I looked at around Fields seems like he's a pretty well-rounded dude, and he gets a lot of unfair treatment in the media. And this is another example. The media just gobbling up and spitting out information that they can devalue him. And teams already probably knew this information, but this puts pressure on the team now that this information is out there, and it could cause teams to make different decisions. But right or wrong, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to tell you that I believe this team is leaning Lance anyway. I believe the 49ers are leaning Lance. I think they've been leaning Lance for a little while. I'm guessing, I'm speculating. Nobody freaking knows. Nobody knows. Not Schefter. Shefty boy doesn't know. Rappaport doesn't know. Eisenberg doesn't know. There was a report today, I believe, that suggested that Lance was being leaned. The team was leaning in the direction of Lance. There's another report that says that the team's still leaning Mac Jones. Where's that Mac Jones clip? I think I have that right here. Here it is. NFL Network and ESPN. Mel Kiper, both Daniel Jeremiah and Mel Kiper both believe that the 49ers will select Alabama QB Mac Jones with the 3rd overall pick. So you have one guy of high stature reporting that Lance looks like the pick. You have another 2 high-profile news reporters and analysts saying that Mac Jones is the pick. You have the entire 49er ground community, the fans, all of you want Fields. I'd say 70%, maybe 80% want Fields. The Niner community wants Fields at least 70 to 80%. I'd say the remaining, about 10 to 15% of the Niner hardcore, amazingly dedicated fan base wants, maybe 10 to 15% wants Mac Jones. Maybe the additional half of the other 50% want Lance, and then 50% want Fields. Let's put it that way. If I was to actually fairly take all three into consideration. Now, if you take Mac out, I believe those Mac Jones owners want Fields, which is why Fields would be overwhelmingly the choice of the community that makes up the Niner fan base. But if you account for all three, I would say it's like 10% Mac, 40% Lance, but growing because I've been conducting that Lance train for the 49ers. Why am I always hitting my desk? And the other 50 would be Justin Fields. I think I said those names. I think I called somebody Trevor Lance or something like that. I don't know. But trading up to 3 to get Mac Jones is wasting a trade. So let me address this comment because you are correct. You're correct, Kanish, but here's the thing that I think people aren't considering, okay? Number one, when the Niners made the trade up to the number freaking 3 overall, Mac Jones was barely in the conversation of being top 12 overall talent, right? The 49ers decided to make a judgment call that his value would climb enough to where you couldn't get him at 12, even though he looked like he was almost a reach at 12. So they traded up for the number 3 pick. Maybe they tried to get 4, maybe they tried to get 5. Maybe they got the same deal or a better deal at 3. And they said to themselves, we believe Mac Jones will be the 11th hour climber like Newton was the year Newton was drafted, like many other quarterbacks like Lance is becoming, and like Mac Jones did. He climbed. Whether you like him or not, he climbed into top 5 consideration. And if you want Mac Jones and where's my music? You want Mac Jones and you're in that top 4 or 5 teams that need a quarterback badly, you got to get in the top 5 or 6 to guarantee you get Mac Jones. So, Kanish, while I agree with you, if the Niners do want Mac Jones at 3, my argument in justification that goes against what people keep saying over and over, which you're not wrong looking at it from the beginning point, but the Niners predicted Mac Jones's rise. That you would need to have your hands on a 3, 4, or 5 pick overall in order to get Mac Jones after his pro day. And guess what happened? That happened. So if you take it all the way back to number 12 overall, and the Niners are sitting there at number 12 overall, and the Niners go, we want Mac Jones, we're going to wait. Guess what? They wouldn't have got him. They needed to go up, and they preemptively traded up. If they want Mac Jones, that's the thinking. We knew this guy would climb in everyone's mind. We wanted to get him. We wanted the 4, the 5. We couldn't get those picks, so we traded for the 3. Maybe they step back on the clock and drop to the 4 or 5 and take Mac Jones. That would make sense, and you'd understand why they moved to 3. I'm just defending why the 3 could be the Mac Jones pick, and I'm trying to explain why I think that the Niners could look at it the way they're looking at it if he is their guy and they did trade to number 3. Because I hear that a lot, Kanish. You're not wrong. Everybody shares that view with you. But the Mac Jones hype is building, and the dude is climbing up draft boards quickly. And whether you believe in him or not is another story. Trevor Lawrence, while we're talking about fantasy football implications and all of that, NFL Network is reporting that Clemson QB Trevor Lawrence left shoulder surgery resumed throwing in April. There is some concern that he might not be 100 by June or July, but I think he'll be ready to go for his rookie year. Don't worry about it. Dude's got his pro day. The guy had a throw day on his pro day. Don't worry about him. He's fine. Return of the Mac, says Warren. So Lawrence will need a little time to get back to 100%, but he'll be fine. He looked good on his pro day. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think Trevor Lawrence, if you ask me how I rank Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Mac, and Lance, I would say based on talent, I'm going to put Lawrence and Wilson kind of neck and neck. I kind of put Lawrence above Wilson because I feel like his path to success will be a little bit shorter, but I think Wilson will turn around the New York Jets franchise like that. And there's a possibility, I think I think the news right here may take this possibility down a little bit percentage-wise, but there's a possibility that everyone thinks they know what the Jets are going to do, and they don't. You know what the problem is? People use their own logic, their own desires, their own reasoning to speak to what other teams will do. The Jaguars have to take Trevor Lawrence. We know that's probably true because of the way they reacted. The way that they've been enamored by Lawrence. We can actually pinpoint, reactions and Urban Meyer and how glued he is to Lawrence. We kind of know. But we don't know. We don't know for sure, but we kind of know. We're like a 99% sure that he's going to the Jaguars. But no one knows with 100% certainty. And just like this Fields news popped up now, values can change based on one freaking news report, based on one thing we don't know about. We didn't know that this medical condition was there, and the teams did know. So how is everybody out there going, no, it's Trevor Lawrence for sure, it's Zach Wilson for sure, it's whatever for sure, when the teams clearly have information we don't have, and there is a justifiable reason why a team may have somebody higher than we think. There might be something positive about Zach. God, I'm mixing up all their names. Mac. There might be something positive about Mac Jones that we're not seeing, in interviews, in some of the pro day stuff, the conversations, how he reacted with coaches and scouts, and there's a lot of things we don't see. We see all the peripheral stuff, and then we make these snap judgments, blah, 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 blah. We don't know with 100% certainty. The only one that feels almost locked, because again, this Fields information was out there within the coaching circles, but we didn't know it, so we can't say with certainty anything. There could be something going on with Trevor Lawrence we don't know about. We don't know for sure. Everybody needs to stop on this 100% stuff. Here we go, Mike Jones. Here we go. Take a lap. Mike, you're almost right. It's 99%. But Zach Wilson's a little further away from that 99 to 100% percentage, Mike, than Trevor Lawrence is. Trevor Lawrence feels locked in. But Zach Wilson, we don't know. There could be something on him that teams know that we don't know. There could be some kind of conversation that we don't have information or we're privy to, and we assume that it's freaking Justin Fields no matter what. Zach Wilson no matter what, when it could be Justin Fields. We don't know what the Jets are for sure going to do. Word is from other people, from hearsay, from Maggie's barber at the grocery store told the clerk to tell Susie Q that she heard that they're really focused on Zach Wilson at number 2. Everybody hears a bunch of hearsay. Nobody's really showing their hand. Okay? Nobody's showing their hand. If you wanted Fields, but you knew Zach Wilson was the cream of the crop, I might, as a Jets organization, make it look very, very clear that Zach Wilson's my pick so that I could do a one-spot trade down with the Niners on draft day. Because guess what? Guess who used to work and coach underneath Shanahan? Salah over in New York. Salah could be trying to play 3D chess against Shanahan's chess board, checkers, whatever. Salah might be trying to play a whole new game. He might be trying to play chess on a Monopoly board with Shanahan. We don't know what he's trying to do. I respect Salah. I respect Shanahan. I wouldn't rule out the idea of one of those guys outdoing the other. Because if Salah likes Fields, what makes you think he's going to let anybody know when he knows he could trade down one spot because Zach Wilson's the cream of the crop according to everybody else? We just don't know. There could be a 3-2 swap on draft day and Salah go, we wanted Fields anyway. You don't know. Stop talking with absolutes. We don't know. This is the NFL draft. How shocked are we every single year? But current news suggests that Mac Jones is the hype is building. We don't know what that means. We don't know if that really means the teams are feeling this way. But Niner fans are going to revolt for a little bit. They'll get behind Shanny and Lynch because you guys are faithful. You're faithful. You're the 49er faithful for a reason. And you trust in your commander. And if your commander says it's freaking Mac Jones, you'll get behind it. You'll get behind it. And as you should. Trust your commander. And he'll put the best team on the field. Either way, let me put it this way. You get Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence, the Niners are the team to beat for the next decade. If they get Fields, Mac Jones, or Lance, they're in the mix to be that team that could win each year, but they're not the team to beat for the next decade. It's a very big difference. Wilson on that Niners team is unbelievable. Like, it's the Chiefs, it's the Niners, maybe the Bills. Throw out whatever team is your favorite team. If I'm offending you, like, those are the teams for the next 10 years that feel locked in to being a top contending team every year. The Niners will still have the cups of coffee with that. Hey, Mod, somebody take care of that. Cups of coffee with the freaking teams every year. They are going to contend for the top 5 to 10 teams in the NFL. But, Niners will butcher the pick. I don't agree with that, bro. I don't agree with that. I think the Niners will do a good job. Let me see if I can. There we go. So that's what we have. That's where we stand. Forget the Giants. You're not offending me, Sergio. I was talking about the other spammer that was in here. Okay, Wilson or Lance. My opinion, the pick is Lance. Let me talk about Lance now that I've gone on my rant talking about everybody else's perspective that the Niners have to go here. The Niners, why would they trade up to 3 to take Mac Jones? I just explained that. Now you know. Now you know. It's because they anticipated a climb correctly. If they want Mac Jones and they're willing to take him at 3, they anticipated that climb correctly. I think Trey Lance is the best fit for this team. And real quickly, before we go on that topic, I will say, again, Lawrence will be good to go. Justin Fields has epilepsy that appears to be something that can be controlled, that it hasn't affected him yet, but you got to think teams are going to look at that. I mean, you could say they shouldn't, but they will. Gallman signing with the Niners. While we're on that topic, this is perfect because we're already on the Niners and everything about the Niners for the moment. So let me address this. Wayne Gallman is definitely a threat to Mostert's touches. He's definitely a threat to Zach Wilson. He definitely cloudies up this situation, which if you're a Niner fan, you don't care because you got production. Gallman's good. Gallman had 600 and something yards and I don't know, was it 4.6 a carry or whatever? Let me pull up the Gallman stats. He filled in pretty well for Saquon Barkley. Like Mike Davis, he did feel like he hit a wall at a certain point. There were times where he was really efficient, times where he got 2.9, 3.9, 3.2 yards per carry, but then had other games where he did really well. He had other games where he only got 6 to 9 carries because he was phased out of the game. But from week 7 through about week 13, maybe week 14 you could consider, with a bye week in between at week 11, dude had a pretty solid handful of double-digit carries over and over and over. He had a touchdown in week 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'm sorry, 12, because they had a bye week in week 11. He had a touchdown in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games between week 7 and week 12. And one of those games was a multiple touchdown performance by the man. And they didn't throw to him enough, and he's a very capable receiving back. So as much as we want to pretend Gallman is going to come in and be the backup, probably will. Mostert's probably going to start. Mostert knows the offense, let's be real. But if Mostert gets banged up even a little bit, and that's very, very likely, Wilson and Gallman would probably, at that point, be in, I don't know, sharing mode. And Gallman's a good wide receiver that was underutilized based on game scripting and the Giants not moving the ball properly. Gallman's really, you guys should be excited about this pick. This shouldn't frustrate anybody or make anybody think he's just a trash addition or whatever. Gallman Gallman's a good player, and if you put Gallman in that 49er offense, he can become a great player. That's what the 49er offensive line and system does to a running back. We know that. If they drafted Najee Harris, top 5 running back. If they drafted ETN, top 5 running back. If they drafted Javonte Williams, top 5 running back. So the offense is just going to produce, and the Niners do lean on one running back significantly, even if there's rotations going on. There's usually rotations in the season, but due to injury and opportunity and filling in the opportunity due to injury, and then that person responds, and then you got a problem on your hands because Wilson looks good. He's already firing on all cylinders. Do you keep Wilson out there? That's kind of why the running back by committee is present, is because of injuries. Gallman, if starting, let's say Mostert gets hurt, Wilson gets banged up, very likely that both those guys get banged up at some point during the year. Well, let's ironically say it happens at the same time, or, you know, maybe they're playing but limited. Gallman could produce top 10 running back numbers per start in this offense that turns a good running back into a great running back. So get excited if you own this guy in a deep dynasty league and you never cut him or anything. You never know what can happen. Would I go trading for him at high value? Absolutely not. Do I expect anything? No, I don't expect anything. Mostert's probably going to get the run early on. But do I think there's potential? For sure. Wayne Gallman has a lot of upside if starting in that offense. So, pretty solid. And who knows what happens in camp, man. You know, Mostert gets banged up and Wilson's not 100 or something. I wouldn't be shocked if all that happened in the offseason, and walking into week 1, this guy's got a good grasp on everything going on and they roll with them. You know, like, it could happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Gallman had a good season. Gallman, off of, let's go back to his game log real quick. 682, only one 100-yard game. Blame that on the offense. 6 TDs, 21 receptions, 114 yards. No receiving TDs, but again, not his fault. They only fed him 27 targets, but he played 15 games, but he got double-digit carries only beginning in week 7. So week 1, 0 carries. Week 3, 4 carries. Didn't play week 2. Week 4, 6 carries. Week 5, 5 carries. Week 6, 0 carries. Week 7 is when he really started getting going, and they didn't really use him in week 15 and 16 and barely in week 17. So you could literally say that he did all this damage that he did, 682 yards and 6 TDs, within weeks 14 and week 7. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. 7 weeks he did that kind of damage. That's pretty good. Like, per volume start, getting volume that's starter worthy, he scored almost a touchdown a game, and that's pretty damn impressive. So I like the addition. I think it's fantastic. Kind of overstated, overlooked. People are going to be like, you know, gloss over it, but I think Niner fans will understand what they got. My ultimate prediction is going to be Mac Jones. No, I think it's going to be Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is the future of that Niners offense, assuming Zach Wilson doesn't fall. I think Trey Lance gives Shanahan and Kyle Lynch the ability to run with their quarterback, which creates a new avenue of not only, you know, play calling, but scoring production. And it's going to be really, really tough to really guard against this guy running the football when you have Kittle to worry about, Debo, Ayuk. It's going to be phenomenal. You got Mostert, you got whoever is running the football, Gallman, Wilson, and then you have Lance, somebody they can't really shadow, and this dude's going to run for 50 to 60 yards a game, maybe a touchdown every single game. Like, this guy could have, not every game, but 10 to 12 TDs on the ground as a rookie, as a quarterback in the NFL. He could have 500 yards rushing, maybe more, as a quarterback in the NFL, given the extra game. 500-600 yards on the ground, 10 TDs. In fantasy, that's going to make him a player. That's going to make him on the map as a rookie as a guy that if you got screwed at quarterback, you suffered injury or you waited too long and you picked the wrong guy, you went with Stafford and Stafford got hurt and you got Lance, and you might be okay. Like Lance in that offense will score fantasy points because of the running alone. 50 yards and a touchdown, that's 11 points out of your quarterback without considering any of the passing. And maybe he won't throw for more than 14 times or 14 completions a game or 10. You know, maybe he throws under 20 times a game. What's up, media? You can win with that. You can win with that. No Mac Jones, says media. He's not having it. Media, I'm going to send you a link and have you on for a few minutes. I might hang up on you quickly, but let's get media in here to talk about his Niners. See what you think, media. Tell me what you believe is going to happen here. And we'll talk about it with the boy. The man they call 49er media. I've coined him as Mr. Giggles because the first time I went live with him, the dude couldn't stop giggling. And so I coined him Mr. Giggles, and that's what he's been known as ever since. We also call him media. No Mac Mayo. No Mac Mayo. No Mac Jones. I have to feel like with as good as the Niners can run, that they would only multiply that with Trey Lance. That's what I've been saying, bro. Webb, I've been saying this on Niner pages and in Niner debates and live streams for months, that if you give Shanahan a running quarterback that can freaking get you 50 to 60 yards a game on the ground with a potential touchdown, maybe 10 to 12 touchdowns on the ground a year, how do you defend this team? And why does everybody keep saying that Trey Lance is a project? He's a project. He's a project. He can't do it. He can't. Media, tell the people that Trey Lance isn't a project. Tell them why he could start week 1.
Okay, well, so the thing is, I've been thinking about this like the past few weeks because I've been kind of going between Fields and Lance. And the thing is, Lance, even though he has that raw talent, remember what Josh Allen was out of Wyoming. He pretty much had the same like concerns, accuracy concerns, hadn't played big competition. I don't think he played many games either. And the more I think about it, Lance is going to be more of a threat especially in our division or even the whole NFL, just because of that running ability he has. And I'm not saying Fields doesn't have that, but it's just not as scary, or like it's not a whoa. I get more whoa about the running of a quarterback when I watch.
I mean, how, like a Cardinal fan here, if I'm going up against Fields, I'm not that worried, to be honest with you, bro. I'm just not. Like, number one, he's got to learn. Same thing with Lance, right? But with Lance, if he gets in trouble, if the how many completions a game do you think Lance would have in that Niner offense and still be hella productive with the running and everything? I mean, he might only need to complete like 12 to 14 passes. What do you think the number would really be, though?
I'm not really right now, because the thing is, like, it's kind of hard to say, I personally think, because obviously they were limited with the Jimmy. Obviously, I do think they will throw the ball more. I am personally tired of those end arounds with like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. They are not running backs, they're wide receivers for a reason. But I think maybe like I'm hoping like at least 20 passes.
But even if he was like managed and brought along slowly, if he got in trouble, he has an innate instinct you can't teach to run, tuck and run. And he did that very effectively in college, because like I say on the Niner Lives that we do in the Quad Box on Instagram every Friday, you can find us on the Quad Box on Instagram. I always say that if he had tucked and run badly, like made bad decisions, did it too often, he would have interceptions. The man had 28 touchdowns and 0 INTs, media. 0.
Yup.
You don't have 0 INTs making bad tuck and run calls. Like, you're going to make mistakes. He obviously tucked and run. He would run the ball when he needed to run the ball. And I don't think he'll do that with Kittle wide open in the middle of the field because his pro day, his film shows that he has a cannon. He's not just a running quarterback. He can definitely make all the throws that Fields can make. I don't think he'll hold onto the football. As a rookie, that could be a problem as long as Fields will, because if he gets in that situation, he tucks and he runs. Fields, there's some film on Fields where he does go through the progressions well and doesn't lock on to only his first read. But there's a lot of film and a lot of talk about that Fields locks heavily on that first read. And that may come into play a little bit with why Ohio State quarterbacks are always said not to succeed, is because they run a certain offense, and you could say like someone like Fields doesn't go through all the progressions all the time, doesn't make all the throws, and so when they get to the NFL level, they see it differently. The speed of the game's differently. They don't have as much of a dynamic handle on all the different route trees and different scenarios and stuff that they're going to face at the NFL level with the speed. And I think that's why there is some knock on Ohio State quarterbacks, but it isn't because it's Ohio State quarterbacks. But I do believe that Fields, looking at his film, is more limited than people are giving him credit for. Like acting like Lance is a project and Fields isn't. If Lance is a project, Fields is a project, in my opinion.
Yeah, I personally think both of them are projects.
And in many cases, you'd be right that if you not you media, but somebody were to say that a project isn't a good idea to take into 2021, but when you have the Niners offense, a project can actually work. You can mask everything that Lance can't do well yet and walk him along, and by mid-season he might be firing on all cylinders like Herbert was firing on all cylinders. And Herbert didn't have near the offensive weapons that Lance has. So, for me, I think if we're talking about Jimmy G, what do you do with Jimmy G? If he's still on the roster and you can't trade Jimmy G, do you still start the rookie? I say yes. I say yes because pulling out Jimmy G mid-season, let's say he's struggling, or if he gets hurt, which is the more likely thing to happen, and the dude can't stay healthy, that if you throw Lance or Fields into the mix in week 7, you've prepped them all offseason. You've tried to get them ready, but it's not the same as if you're groomed to be the starter in, June, July, August, September, and you go into the season full command of everything, playbook completely absorbed, experience the command of, you're commanding your team with authority versus walking in there and trying to win. Now, I think that, and I've been on record saying that if you draft Lance, you win more games starting him in week 1 than you do with Jimmy G and wondering what happens mid-season. I stand behind that. I think Fields and if you draft Fields and you start Fields in week 1, I think you could win the same amount of games if you started Jimmy. That's the way I feel about it.
I mean, that's why I kind of was saying that I think that I believe I said this yesterday or whatever. I was like, I think that trading Jimmy now is actually the better option, because the things us fans assume he is gonna be healthy, and you can never assume that because football's an injury, sport, and that's why I think trading him now is somewhat better, because then his value will go even more down if he stays healthy. I mean, if he doesn't stay healthy, and if he does, but doesn't play still as well, then also that's another problem.
Okay, speak to this piece of news right here. NFL Network, Daniel Jeremiah, and ESPN Mel Kiper both of them, that the 49ers will select Mac Jones. Tell me why they're saying this. What do you believe is the reason that they're saying this? They have to have either some information or they feel like they've heard it from the right person. Tell me why this would be fake or potentially correct.
Okay, it is straight up speculation because the Niners do not ever leak information. The only 2 people in the office is John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, who know. Nobody else in the organization even knows.
But why do they think this? It can't just be
because they're thinking that because they think that in Alabama, Alabama ran some similar things that the Niners have run, which is true, and I think that's pretty much why they think that he's the best fit.
Yeah, and Master Yoda, I do believe you trade Jimmy G, you get rid of the locker room divide, because Jimmy G has a lot of support in the locker room, and I think if you keep him on the roster and you start a rookie, you're gonna have a huge divide there, or have a lot of like pressure on the rookie too, which I think Lance could handle. I feel like Fields would be less likely to handle better, and I know that sounds like speculation there too, but even his own coach said he's a very internal guy. You know, like he wears his frustrations inward. I feel like he would have a tougher time given all the scrutiny that he's already dealt with. There's a lot of pressure on him. I think Fields needs to walk into an uncontested situation. So if it is Fields, even more the reason to get Jimmy G out of there. I think you could start Jimmy G, and if he faltered, Fields would step in without a lot of pressure because he'd be the savior. That could work too. But I think if it's Lance, you got to give Lance the go. You got to give Lance the keys. And Yoda, it's proven now. These quarterbacks are more ready than ever before. They're built differently. Look at all three of Burrow, Hurts, and Herbert. All three, not just one of them. All three were able to command right out of the gate. It's very, very different. These quarterbacks, like Lawrence and Wilson, will do really well. Wilson could have ups and downs because the offense is not as loaded or has more holes in it. But you plug anybody into this 49er offense, and they can win games. They won't just do okay. They'll win games because they have such a good supporting cast. I don't necessarily think Lance would win, like if you put him in Philly. Like, let's say Lance goes to Philly, or if Lance goes to
Denver.
I like him in Denver, though. But he may not win. He may do what Herbert did. Look really good.
Actually, yeah, because at least
lose games.
The Broncos have the pieces.
Right. Lose games, but look really good and look promising. That's what Herbert did. You know, Herbert didn't. I mean, they lost a lot of close games, and it was kind of unfortunate situation.
He still looked amazing.
He still looked fantastic. So Lance could look fantastic, but lose games. I don't think Jimmy G's taking you to a Super Bowl, Yoda. So it's more worth it to you to move on and to start building for your future. And if that means putting Lance out there in week 1 and maybe struggling a little bit, who's to say that he wouldn't struggle mid-season when you force him into the lineup because Jimmy G goes down? Let him have a full offseason commanding the offense, learning the offense, being the commander-in-chief of the offense from day one. Let him go into week 1 with a chance to do what he probably wouldn't do coming in week 7. You know, you learn on the bench, but you don't learn even remotely as fast and as well than if you're the starter in freaking June, July, August, and September. It's very different. So, you know, I don't know. The great QB sit and observe 1 year and soak up. Not anymore, bro. Not anymore.
Look at Herbert. He probably. Well, I think Taylor was like, didn't Herbert come into week 1 or probably week 2 or something?
Yeah. And Herbert.
Yeah.
Herbert started. Did he start week 1?
I know he started fairly early.
Well, the lung puncture happened right away. He started week 2.
Okay, yeah. So it was pretty early.
Right. So Master Yoda, to address this, I'm not saying you aren't wrong historically, but Brady started a long time ago, bro. This is a long time ago. This is before you were born, probably, Master Yoda, that they sat Brady, he learned and came in. But Brady wasn't groomed to be the starter, bro. He came in and rose up really quickly. He wasn't somebody they drafted and said, this is our future. Brady was fantastically motivated to get himself into that position. It wasn't like he was sitting there being groomed. Mahomes, as much as people want to pretend they understand Mahomes or predicted him, I had him on my bold predictions, bro, in 2018 when he was still the backup quarterback to Alex Smith, who was going crazy and having a top 5 fantasy season, which was out of place, but he was doing it. And I said, Mahomes is a top 5 quarterback. And everyone's like, no. Mahomes who? And everyone acts like Mahomes was groomed to be the guy he is now. He was drafted to potentially be the future, but no one knew how good he was going to be. Those are two very unique scenarios. And Aaron Rodgers was drafted a long time ago. We're talking about a new day and age with quarterbacks, Master Yoda. And Herbert, Burrow, and Hurts, I think, are more of what you're going to see out of these rookie quarterbacks. Lawrence Wilson and probably Lance, I think, will be the guys that come out firing and looking pretty darn good. Even if they don't necessarily win games, that will be their learning curve. That'll be their part where they struggle a little bit. All right, media. I appreciate you.
Yep, thanks for having me.
I might dial you. I might send you another message at some point. We'll see.
Okay.
Later. Go follow my boy 49er Media on Instagram. So that is hour one. I didn't get a chance to mock up everything that I had planned to mark up the show. So hour one was news. And then, so hour two, we're putting this up after the fact. Hour two, how to trade. That's right now. We're in hour two. And then hour three is going to be the Dynasty. I'm writing dumb. Dynasty risk map. And we are currently on this right here. So good hour one, everyone. We went a little over. I'm trying to keep things organized. Master Yoda says, I hope you're right. Now, I want you guys to give me some players that you want to trade away or for. So in the chat, drop a player that you would like to potentially acquire and tell me, how do I trade for player A, player B, and then a player you're trying to trade away. And it can be dynasty or redraft, so make sure you clue me in as to what we're looking at there. Dynasty trade for, dynasty trade away, redraft trade for, redraft trade away, you name it. I will help you with it. Mahomes didn't know how to protect the ball coming out. Obviously had a big arm. Yet Mahomes wasn't ready. Zach Wilson's more ready than Mahomes was coming out of college. It's hard to compare. Big fan of media's reverse lighting. Please never change it. I've told him, you come if I add media and he has good lighting, I'm hanging up on him. I told him we like you the way you are. We like how you come into the show with that confidence and that vibe of, I don't need lighting. I won't have lighting. I won't have it. And media comes in completely, almost, you can't even see him. It looks like he left his phone in the sun. And I told him, you come on with lighting, you're out. You're out. Okay, Dynasty, I was offered Mixon and Jefferson. Jacobson. Okay, so offer Mixon and Jefferson. I assume you mean for Jacobs and AJ Brown. I think that's what you're trying to say. You forgot the for part, so I believe that's where that breaks up. So Dynasty, you were offered Mixon and Jefferson for Jacobs and Brown. I take Mixon and Jefferson in a heartbeat. And the reason I say that is I have more faith in Mixon being relevant for longer than Jacobs being relevant, even in 1 year. I have very little confidence that Jacobs is relevant moving forward, period. Drake came in. Drake's getting paid near starter money. Drake can catch the football. Jacobs, they haven't relied upon to catch the football. I don't know if they'll actually give Drake receptions. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you right now that I would draft Mixon over Jacobs by multiple rounds potentially, because I think Mixon's third round material. Jacobs, I won't even draft until the 5th or 6th round, and that's only to trade him. And Jefferson, I rank above AJ Brown barely, but Jefferson could be the number one wide receiver. Not that AJ Brown can't, but even if we call AJ Brown and Jefferson a wash, Mixon crushes Jacobs. Get out of here, Burrow. I hope Burrow goes crazy. Burrow's brother. Hope your brother does well. Next up, Kenny Powers, which phenomenal character in TV. If you don't know who Kenny Powers is, you missed a genius character created, and man, I wish that show had more attention. I love Kenny Powers. Trade away Waller or Sanders and get AJ Brown. I like, it depends if you need a tight end, but I do love, I draft Waller ahead of Sanders, and I draft AJ Brown ahead of both. So trade either for AJ Brown, but if you're able to keep Waller, who is like a little bit higher ranked than Sanders, you win, but you win either way. Case decided. Trade for Jefferson away. Trade for Jefferson. Trade away Evans. I'm not even ruling that one, bro. You need to take a lap for even asking that question. Go get Justin Jefferson over Mike Evans. Not even a consideration, bro. Like, I'm a little bit offended. I feel like you're not new to the channel, bro. I know I've seen you, Ronaldo, around a lot. And I'm almost offended that you asked the question after all the Justin Jefferson content I've cranked out for you all off season long. Ronaldo, you know you're my boy. Bring another question. Let's toss it up and redo that. I needed a trade scenario. Okay. Sorry. Here I go jumping the gun. I'm not asking if. He's asking me to come up with something. Gotcha. Take a lap, me. Okay, Ronaldo, here's what I do. Let me reverse that. Ronaldo, great question. Trade for Jefferson and trading away Mike Evans. Could have said something like, hey, Smitty, what could I do to get Jefferson using Evans? That might have helped me a little bit. Here's what I do, Ronaldo. I give up a future first rounder if I've got to get this done. That might do it. If your team is good enough to win, what is that? A 12? 11? A 10? Trade away your future first rounder to ink that. Try and do it with seconds. Give up multiple seconds. Give up a 2023 if your team or your league allows you to trade way in the future. Worry about that. Kick that can down the road. Bro, the league might be closed in 2023. I like to leverage those freaking... Don't worry about it, Ronaldo. I'm just joking with you, bro. Whenever I tell you to take a lap, you're earning my respect. Okay? I don't waste my time giving out take a lap cards to people that I don't completely appreciate. Use a future first rounder. You never know what 2023 is going to be. I leverage all those future picks down the road if it gives me a now player. I don't give them away. I don't give them away for crap. But trading away Mike Evans, who in Dynasty is several rounds apart from Jefferson, I would say, and you could give up a potential number 12 or 11 or 10 overall pick for that trade up. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Jefferson, if you threw Jefferson into this player pool, these 2021 rookies, he'd be my 1.1. Does anybody disagree in here that if Justin Jefferson was vaulted into the player pool for 2021, that you wouldn't have him as the 1.1? Does anybody feel like they wouldn't draft him 1.1? So go ahead and try and pull that off, bro. Past that, I need to know who you have that you can use as leverage to add to Mike Evans. But if you could add like a Chase Edmonds to Mike Evans to get Jefferson, I'd do that. And AJ Dillon. People were more excited about those guys. The time to trade Chase Edmonds was when I told you to. Months ago, get rid of him. This smells like AJ Dillon situation where he's the starter. He's not the starter. And now Chase Edmonds is in the same boat AJ Dillon was in. I'm not comparing the two talent-wise. Everybody always says that. Somehow, some way, that's what people hear. When I say that AJ Dillon situation smelled like Chase Edmonds situation smelled like AJ Dillon situation, for some reason people come out of the woodwork and say, how do you comparing the two? AJ Dillon has big quads, bro. I'm not comparing the talent. I'm comparing the situation like I clearly articulated. And Chase Edmonds is no more the starter than AJ Dillon is. And that's what people need to understand. Especially given that the Cardinals could still draft a running back. Little draft capital in the draft or not, they could still take Najee Harris, which everyone thinks can't happen now because they signed James Conner to a $1.4 million deal. Like, that's going to influence you as to what you're going to do if Najee Harris is staring you in the face and you can keep Kyler Murray upright, roaming around without any kind of shadow coverage because Najee Harris is grinding it out between the tackles, keeping defenses honest. Najee Harris is the answer for the Cardinals, or ETN, or Javonte Williams. Getting a big running back in there that's not named Connor or Chase Edmonds is going to be the answer to keeping Kyler moving in the right direction, maturing. I don't care what they spent on James Conner. I don't care what significance anybody thinks James Conner's signing has on the running back room. I don't care. Najee Harris or ETN or Javonte Williams, but especially Najee Harris, who fits the Cardinals' needs more than the other two, or Javonte Williams does too, to be honest. He's so well-rounded. That is the answer for Kyler Murray's continued progression. And if you disagree with me for some little tiny reason like James Conner, or the Cardinals might not do that, I'm not arguing the Cardinals will do that. I think they still could. If they're smart, they will. The only pick for the Cardinals is Najee Harris because of what it does to support the end goal for the Cardinals. I'm here in Arizona. I'm pretty dialed in. The number one concern when it comes to Kyler Murray is keeping him progressing in the right direction, keeping him healthy, allowing him to roll outside the pocket so he can actually see his receivers, because it's really hard for him in the pocket. He doesn't make good decisions because he's pressured all the time. And if Kyler Murray can get more accurate, make better decisions, have more time to throw the football, and find people open more often because defenses are focusing on not just the receiving game, but also stopping the run. Because what Najee Harris does is open up everything. And I 100% feel like the answer is Najee Harris. If I'm an Arizona Cardinal coach and I'm making the decision, I turn in the card. When I turn in the card, this is what I do. I walk up to the podium and I say this. I walk up to the podium and I go,
it's time to let the dragon loose.
I walk up to the podium and I say,
hey, Smitty, it's time to let the dragon loose.
I'm putting that up. Don't worry. We're going to get that queued up. We're going to get the proper music, proper scenario. I'll even have the right lighting for it. In fact, we're going to have a button that we press and we're going to go.
Red alert. Red alert.
Time to let the dragon loose. I'm going to have this button. It's on a delay. Computer, studio off. Computer, studio on. I don't know. Now my lights are all red. Computer, side light blue. Computer, overhead light blue. There we go. Where were we? Here's another trade. Dynasty trade. Trade away Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, and Darnell Mooney for 2022 first and 2022 second and 2023 first. What's up, Hall of J game? The dragon is shy. The dragon is shy. Sam Darnold. So I assume this is a super flex by the sending 2 QBs away. But bro, I don't care. I mean, you got to have decent QBs, right? If you're trading these 2 away. But I trade away Darnold, Newton, and Mooney, who I like Mooney a lot as a sleeper, but this isn't valuing him as a sleeper. This is valuing him as a breakout that's already broken out. I take that 2021 first, 2022 second, and 2023 first in a heartbeat for that, and then try and turn it back into a Jamar Chase or a Devonta Smith or a Harris or, Javonte Williams, whatever. Try and get that 2022 first into one of these, rookies that we have right here that you can draft and put on your team right now. Smitty approved. Dragon is shy. Comment approved. What's up, Hall of Fame? Dynasty. Jefferson. Jacob, Stafford, away. Chubb, Ayuk. Even though I don't love the Jefferson piece, bro, I trade Chubb for Jefferson straight up, and I take Jefferson. I'm not a fan of Nick Chubb long term. I worry enough about him for 2021 because of his knee history, and I believe he gets overworked. He doesn't get a lot of PPR. I believe he will miss games in 2021. That's speculation. I believe it's educated guessing on my part, but it is 100% guessing, so know that. But I take Jefferson in a heartbeat over Chubb. I draft Jefferson in the first round in Dynasty startups. At the tail end, if you can get away with it, and even more so in the second round if you can get away with it. But Jefferson is better than the entire deal. I like Ayuk. A lot of my Niner people are going to be upset about trading away Ayuk, but I do that for Jefferson. You can trade Jacobs for probably an equivalent to Ayuk wide receiver or running back or whatever. Jacobs still has some trade value, but I take Jefferson, Jacobs, and Stafford in a heartbeat over Chubb and Ayuk. That's me. Some people might view that differently. I like Ayuk a lot, but Ayuk is, if you're being honest about it, if you're a Niner fan, you're going to love Ayuk, and you're going to say, why would you trade Ayuk? But he's in a situation where there's not enough targets to make him ultra consistent every single week. I like him a lot. He could be a wide receiver too, especially if Lance goes there and locks onto him and they have good rapport. Like there's opportunity for Ayuk to grab a hold of wide receiver 2, elite wide receiver 2 value. No question about it. I like him a lot. But Jefferson is potentially the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football dynasty. I truly believe that. And when you're getting rid of a guy like Chubb, who in a year from now might not even have close to even second round value a year from today, this is a slam dunk trade, especially if you can trade Jacobs and like a future first and get CeeDee Lamb, or Jacobs and a future first and get the 1.3. And now all of a sudden you have Jefferson and Jamar Chase instead of Chubb and Ayuk. Do you understand what I'm saying? Go get it. Approved. Approved. Appreciate you. Debo going to bounce back. Also, that's another thing. Like, Debo is a big, factor. Voice of Reason says, no way I'm trading Ayuk, and especially not Waller. I don't know that Waller was in that comment. Maybe that was another trade. I'm trying to let the dragon loose. Nobody is biting on Watson. Think I'm going to have to go after future picks to get a fair value. If you can survive without him and you don't need a quarterback, then yeah, I would go get future first rounders. And if Watson comes back and plays football and is solid, like you're not gonna have gotten screwed on that. But the way to trade Watson away is to go after an upgrade. So you trade Watson away and you go after an upgraded player. So in that example, you're talking about a Herbert, So Herbert would be one example. Or you could go after Josh Allen. So you're going to say to yourself, okay, well, no one's going to trade me Josh Allen or Herbert for Watson in this situation. They will if you overpay. They will if you overpay at Watson having 2021 or at least 2022 and beyond value. It's going to look like an overpay. But if you toss in a future first rounder like I did, I traded Watson away in a dynasty league, expert money league, very big league, very competitive league. I traded away Watson recently. News has gotten a little better for Watson since I made this trade too, a little bit. But I traded away Watson for Josh Allen, and I gave up a future 2022 first rounder. A pick I assume is going to be in the 8 to 12 range because I believe I have the best team in the league. Injury could strike. I could get the 7 pick. But in a worst case scenario, I don't see where I'm anywhere near the top 5, top 6. And Josh Allen, if let's say I had injuries that caused me to be that bad, because if I don't have injuries, I could win the league. If I have injuries, I'm still going to have Josh Allen for the long term. So even if I take a hit in 2021 and Watson somehow comes back, you've got Burrow. I definitely would go trade Watson for future picks. I definitely would do that. Another way you could potentially approach this is trade Watson for a guy like a guy that played bad last year, like Miles Sanders. So if you're to trade Watson for like a Miles Sanders, or you trade him for a player that trying to think of some players that have good value that you can maybe buy low on. I would certainly try and do like my next best option would be like a 1.3 or 1.4, and then obviously that's not going to happen, right? So you give up a future pick on top of that. So you're giving up the Watson and the 1.3, or sorry, Watson and a future pick for the 1.3, Watson and a future pick for maybe as low as the 1.4. So to me, that's how you could get rid of Watson. Pretty decent. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a perfect example. So Watson for Clyde, I'd take that in a heartbeat. That's not supposed to be greater than. It's supposed to be an arrow. I'm sorry. So trade Watson away for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like that a lot. Monty seems to be of low value. I do worry about Montgomery, given that the play calling is going to be naggy. But good questions so far. Always happy to overpay to get the best player. I agree. That's why I overpaid to get Josh Allen, because I believe he is the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football. I view CD and Ayuk about the same. Both will be elite soon. I'm not going to hit the take a lap button on that voice because I do like Ayuk a lot, but I truly disagree 100%, only because I view Lamb a lot differently than you do. But that's a prediction. It's not a guarantee. If Lamb was a guarantee to be AJ Brown, it wouldn't be a bold prediction of mine. So I can't with good conscience throw a take a lap on you, voice of reason. You could be right. I could be right. We could both be right. They could be phenomenal. Both of them could be phenomenal. But I believe that CeeDee Lamb is about to go A.J. Brown on the league. He's about to go Calvin Ridley on the league. I believe CeeDee Lamb has potential to be number 1 to 5 overall wide receiver material in a very, very short time, potentially as early as this year. I'm so pumped about CeeDee Lamb. I think Ayuk is just in a different situation. I feel like Ayuk is really, really good, but could he become, a top 1 to 5 wide receiver? Probably not, if I had to guess, because the opportunity doesn't call for it. But I think Lamb, and see, Ryan agrees with you. Ryan likes Ayuk more. I'm not mad at you guys. I just disagree, but respectfully. Cheers to you, Kenny. Value-wise, would you rather have Herbert or Allen at their respective rankings? Probably I'd rather have Herbert if he's like 5th round value, like round 5. But it depends. Sometimes they both go like round 3.5. Then I'd rather have Josh Allen. But mark my words, the world will be enamored with Justin Herbert the moment if they do, draft a Devonta Smith. I don't think they'll trade up high enough to get Jamar Chase, but you never know. Chase will probably be gone. Pitts will probably be gone. So Waddle or Devonta Smith are the most likely options to land on in a Chargers uniform. And Devonta Smith continues to fall in the eyes of a lot of teams and GMs and scouts and analysts. And people keep talking about his BMI and his weight, and that no 170-pound wide receiver is going to hold up. I've watched Devonta Smith over and over and over again. I've watched film. I've watched video after video. I've watched everything I can get my hands on. The stats are there. The guy's beat out everybody in FBS by 600 yards more receiving than any other player. Devonta Smith, over 600 yards more than every single player. Led everybody in receptions, yardage, touchdowns, best in press coverage, which everybody's so worried about. Oh my God, Devonta Smith is too small. He's going to get manhandled. Put Devonta Smith on screen. He's going to get manhandled at the line of scrimmage in the NFL. Why is he the best in FBS in 2021 in press coverage, in yards? I believe yards, TDs, and receptions. He was number 1 in press coverage type statistical data. I like Debo over Ayuk if he can stay healthy. See, that's why I think that Ayuk's a tough player to count on, because there are 3 really, really good receiving options there, and I don't know that there's enough to even make 2 of them consistently elite. But I love Herbert. Herbert and Allen are my 2 and 3 Dynasty quarterbacks. I have Mahomes 1, I have Allen 2, I have Herbert 3, I have Kyler, Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson, like all those guys kind of racing for that 4 to 6 spot. 49ers better not take Mac Jones. I'll be so mad, says Ryan. Smitty, what round would you draft Jonathan Taylor? Bro, I would probably say that he's a lock inside the top 6 to 7 overall, 6 to 8 overall. So there's no question that Taylor's a first rounder. Like, not even a debate. Like, you won't find Taylor in round 2 probably ever. So I hope that answers your question. He's a round 1 absolute lock, and he's arguable in the 6 to 8 overall range. So Jonathan Taylor, round 1, bro. Take a tiny itty bitty lap for even asking. Just a little one. Here, I'll give you a little taste. Just a little bit. Just a little. Just a take a lap, tiny bit. I predict Denver trades with Atlanta for QB. Yeah. The Bengals draft Sewell. Miami drafts Chase, causing Pitts to fall to the Cowboys, where he explodes. Not a bad little story you told, bro. I think it's possible. I think all those are possible. I've been talking, out of all the players likely, or all the teams likely to trade up to get a hold of that pick to take Trey Lance or Mac Jones at that 4 pick, I believe it is Denver. Denver has the most, I think, motivation to get a quarterback. I mean, Chicago does too, but will Chicago do it? No. So I think Denver is probably the most likely to trade up to that number 4 pick. Voice of Reason says no way on Debo. I mean, I like Ayuk more, bro. I talked Ayuk up a lot to Dr. Raj before Ayuk was even, being discussed as a pick for the Niners. No way Pitts falls that far. I agree. Pitts ain't. That's the thing, bro. Anything can happen with your narrative, but I think Pitts goes to, in a worst case scenario, Pitts goes to Carolina. I don't think Carolina would let him fall past them. Pitts is going in the top 6, top 7. And if anything, teams are going to trade up for him. Like if he falls to number 7 or number 6, like if he doesn't go at 4, because he's kind of projected to go 4 to Atlanta, I could see him going. I could see a team trading up to 5 or probably 6, because I think the Bengals could trade out of 5, but because they like Chase, and if Chase is available, they could trade down to like pick 6 or 7 in hopes to get Chase, but I don't know. No, I know, voice. I know. Smitty plus Dr. Raj equals baby goat. I'll take it. It's a little weird, but I'll take it. Bang, bang, Niner gang, says Ryan. Let's go, Cowboys. Look, the Cowboys. Let's talk a little bit of Dallas Cowboy talk real quick. So, Dallas Cowboys. And let me make that white so you can see the text a little bit better on the red. Oh, can you, though? There we go. Dallas Cowboy talk, people. Dallas Cowboy talk. If you're a Cowboy fan, it's time to get excited. Let's try the new angle out. If you, Dallas Cowboy fans, aren't excited about 2021, let me tell you something. Dak looks healthy. CeeDee Lamb is about to explode. You've got a potential difference maker pick at that number 10. Hopefully, you don't screw that up. But if you were to take Kyle Pitts, if he fell, you could trade up too. Trading up would be smart for the Cowboys because Kyle Pitts would be a difference maker. But the Cowboys are set up to have one of those bounce back seasons under Dak Prescott, who looks good. His ankle looks healthy. Dak Prescott, to me, could be in the running for MVP in 2021. I don't know that he wins it. I'm just saying he'll be talked about. There'll be a lot of talk about Dak commanding this offense. Dak was on fire before he went down. CeeDee Lamb was looking like Justin Jefferson a little bit before Dak went down. If Kirk Cousins had went down, there would be no Justin Jefferson rookie explosion. It would be what CeeDee Lamb endured, which was a leveling but still dominating for a rookie, an overshadowed year for CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb would have looked like Justin Jefferson had he had Dak all year long. And in a way, CeeDee Lamb has a better long-term situation than Justin Jefferson. He has a better passer, a better overall offense, you could say. I like the Vikings offense, but it does feel like at times they can be slowed down differently than I think Dallas would be. Dallas can fire on all cylinders, run the football like the Vikings can too, but you have so many more weapons in that offense. I like Minnesota a lot. Don't get me wrong. I think Minnesota could be phenomenal. But I just feel like Dallas has the makings of a Super Bowl contending team. Thank you, Stu. How about them Cowboys and Dak we trust? I just feel like the Vikings, it all revolves around Cousins. Not that it doesn't revolve around Dak, but I trust Dak more, even coming off the injury, than I do Cousins for the long term at least. But I think the Cowboys are set up pretty good. Got to go. Great as always, brother. Thank you, voice. Dallas defense is trash, though. They lose 38 to 35. They got a number 10 overall pick, bro. They might do something good with that. They might do something good with a 10 overall pick. Dallas defense. A lot of Dallas defense concerns. I get it. I understand. All right. Where were we at? Sorry, just changing up the views. 3 hours is a long time to stream. You guys don't even know. You don't even know the half of it. Get your head out of your blank. That was trash. Mike Nolan defense. Quinn here. We just need to improve the middle of the pack and we're good to go. I don't know who you're talking to. Thoughts on Amari Cooper for Dynasty? I don't hate Amari Cooper, bro. But I think what do I think? I think CeeDee Lamb just takes over, similar to how Courtland Sutton will soon be capped by Jerry Jeudy's upside. Like, Jerry Jeudy's the number one wide receiver in Denver, in my opinion. You might disagree. You might be a freaking big Courtland Sutton fan. Joe5714 on YouTube out there. I don't mean to offend you. We all have our opinions, and nothing's correct right now. We're all guessing and speculating. Courtland Sutton could be the number one wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy could get hurt. Who knows? But I believe Cooper, exactly as Double X says, wide receiver 2. Like, good wide receiver 2. Lamb could be a top 5 fantasy football wide receiver. That leaves Cooper, like, absorbing a ton of amazing targets and receptions, but to a lesser degree than Lamb. Cooper's still a wide receiver 2. Cooper's still a guy you could have as your wide receiver 2 in fantasy and love it. Like, I'm not saying Cooper can't do well. Dak throws that much. The offense is that productive. As said before, when you're winning games 38-35, there's a lot of throwing that takes place, and, you know, bad defense or whatnot. Dallas will improve. Dallas will improve on defense. Dallas had a horrible, like, here's the one thing that I think is so unfair when people say, like, Dallas's defense was trash last year. They didn't have the offense to help support the defense. They go hand in hand. If your offense can't move the chains, your defense gets tired and returns to the field more frequently. Judging Dallas off of last year's defensive performance and saying that Dallas's D is what it is, it's going to suck in 2021 just like it did in 2020. You're not being fair to the Cowboys when that defense was on the field constantly. So give them a little credit, and let's not assume the Dallas defense can't improve or won't be vastly improved just from not being tired out and on the field constantly. And not to mention that they're improving things through the draft, through the offseason. It will get better. A healthy Dak Prescott will do numbers for that Dallas Cowboys defense. So, bold prediction, Eagles will draft ADP at pick 12. I think the Eagles would be smart to draft Devonta Smith and give Jalen Hurts a freaking target and stop messing up with wide receivers. Jalen Reagor? Last year's Dallas defense last year was Mike Nolan. This year, Quinn is here with a whole new system and can't be worse than 32. Yeah, again, they're 32nd. They're the worst defense in the league because they're always on the field. How are you not going to be? You know what I mean? So everyone needs to calm down. I'm not talking about you, D2. I know you love the Cowboys. You're a big supporter. But this could be a middle-of-the-pack defense. They were getting crushed last year. What do you expect them to look like stat-wise? They're going to look horrible. Nobody can be objective talking about the Cowboys. You know that, Smitty. True. But I like the Cowboys this year. I made one of these hats for my Cowboys fans. And I'm still in the works of making it. Let me go over here. I'm making my custom hat station right here. Over here. Where's my... I can't even see it because I got everything in the way. Custom hat. This is the Cowboys version I always make it for somebody. So I'm going to put Amari Cooper, Zeke. I'll put Zeke badge, a Zeke badge right here, a Dak badge right here, maybe a Cooper badge, something like that, or a Zeke on the side. But these custom hats are rolling out here at the Fantasy Football Show. And that's one of the custom cowboy ones I've been working on. You'll be able to purchase your custom hat here shortly. And what I'm even going to do is make it live on the air for you. I will do a live hat video where I go live just making hats. You order a hat online during the live stream. I will make it for you in front of everybody. Talk to you about your hat, maybe get you on an IG audio call or I'll call you up on the phone, whatever. And while I'm making your hat, you're live in the show as I make your hat, custom hat. So get ready for that. Orders will be opening up soon, and I'll create a live stream specifically for hat making, like once a week or whatever. So get ready to order those bad boys. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to do the Dynasty risk map. This will be in this hour right here. Currently, we're still talking about how to trade, players to trade, but we'll be going over to the risk map, and we'll be talking about Dynasty. We'll be mapping these guys from a Dynasty perspective. That's coming up in hour 3. But we are currently in hour 2. We have a good 10-15 minutes left in hour 2. Dope custom hats. Thank you, Ryan. I will be creating a Niner one for you at some point, I assume. And yeah, get ready for those live streams. Dallas defense was bad in 2019 with Dak throwing for 5,000 yards. Smitty, they lost the division to Philly. Bro, we're talking about 2019. They're going to improve things. Don't worry about it. And I'm not saying they're going to have a top 5 defense, bro, but they're going to improve. And Dallas can still win playoff games with a mediocre defense because they score so many points on the offensive side, bro. So I'm not saying that they're the number 1 team. I'm just defending Dallas Cowboy fans a little bit, saying that this offense is going to look phenomenal and the defense will be much improved. New defensive system. Let's give them a little chance to prove it before we assume that they can't turn things around. Look how good Tampa Bay's D was in 2020 when I came out in early 2020 in the offseason and said that the acquisition of Tom Brady is going to make this an elite defense. Not just a good defense, an elite defense, because they're thrown against the GOAT in practice every day. They're going to put some pieces together. And now in hindsight, everybody's like, well, that was a great defense. Like, no, a lot of people ripped on that, saying Tampa Bay isn't solid. They have good players, but they're a crappy defense. They turned that thing around really quickly. I'm not comparing the Dallas defense to the Tampa Bay defense. I'm merely saying that everyone assumes from year to year things don't change. And if Dak is back, we're going to see a much improved defense than we did last year. If you give them a middle of the pack defense, their offense is so explosive, they can work on that. You know, there's teams all the time, every year, that come into the year with a bad defense, and by midseason, they can put it together. Coaches can do a lot. When you get a new staff or a new scheme in place, a new coordinator, new whatever, you can get more out of your players if you have the right people in place. There are coaches that know what they're doing. I don't necessarily know. D2 might be able to speak to the offensive or the defensive coordinator and his history. D2, if you feel like you want to drop a prediction there, go ahead. Ramon says D2 that's why they can't go offense at the 10, and I'm okay with that. If they go a big defensive piece, dude, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying if Kyle Pitts were to fall, you got to remember Tampa Bay was in the top 10 defense, bro. But there's still so many people that doubted that prediction. Like I've receipts to prove it. It's like Tampa Bay is going to be trash. Their defense is going to be trash. Right when Brady came on board, I dropped a couple things on IG that said they could win the Super Bowl, and it was laughed at, bro. They definitely had a shot at being a top 5 team overall the moment they got Tom Brady. I'm just saying, things change a defense. Things change. Like when you face the GOAT in practice every day, you get better just like that. And they had a lot of pieces in place, and they were ripped apart. Now everybody remembers differently. Like Tampa Bay, yeah, they were, as soon as they got Brady, they looked like they were going to be the team to beat. No one said that. That's the thing. I don't think people understand how good the Cowboys D was in 2018 with the same Dan Quinn system. Attaboy, AK. Quinn likes to draft DT, defensive tackles, free safeties. He's big on those two positions, which is great because we've ignored both for years. D2 speaking facts. Just get ready. The Cowboys are going to be improved. Just watch. Hold D2's beer and let him show you. Where are we at next? Someone give me a couple more trade offers. Jerry wants Pitts bad. They Zoom call. Yeah, he said that several times, but I don't know that they're trading up. They'd have to trade up. Can't believe they took Rager over Jefferson. I knew that was a mistake. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Rager was not even in my top 6 wide receivers, bro. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. 49ers drafting Fields or Trey Lance. What do you think? So I went over this already, but I can talk about it again briefly. Rewatch the show if you need to. But bro, it's no one knows. No one knows. I think Lance is the best fit for the Niners. I think Mac Jones and Lance feel like together it's 50-50 whether the Niners are going in the direction of either Mac or Lance, so you can lump them together as a 50% and then 50% Fields. But I think the Fields stuff's narrowing a little bit. He might not be the pick. You know, I mean, and then the epilepsy stuff, while it shouldn't really affect them, teams do consider it, you know? So, thank you for the super chat, Stu. Pitts at 10 gives us elite options at all skill positions. You draft best player available. When you draft for need, you get Greg Ellis instead of Randy Moss or Taco. Thank you for the super chat, young man. And let's get our intern on the line and see if JP is even available. So JP, if you're watching, I'm going to send you a message right now. And if JP, our intern, is available, he will join. If he's not, he won't. And then he'll be fired as a free intern. Just kidding, JP. Kind of. Lance over Wilson, bold prediction. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you look right, you know, coming out of year one, because we're talking about, you know, Wilson going to a much lesser environment. If Lance goes to the Niners, Lance will produce right away. Whereas Wilson could look a lot like Burrow, where it's like, holy crap, this guy is going to be elite. This guy looks phenomenal, but, you know, he could have ups and downs. Wilson doesn't have the talent that Lance will get. If Wilson landed in San Fran, say goodnight. Niners win multiple Super Bowls in the next 10 years if Wilson falls to the Niners. It's that big of a difference. I love that people think that you can't. There's no difference between any of those quarterbacks landing in San Fran. There might not be that big of a difference with the remaining three after Lawrence and Wilson. But if Lawrence or Wilson fall to the Niners, it's multiple championships in the next 10, 11, 12 years. Multiple. At least 2. Thank you for the super chat, Stu. It's going to take a gang of picks and free agents to fix the defense. We have 9 other picks for best player available defense if we luck into Pitts at number 10. Look, yeah, I take Pitts if he's there. I don't even consider defense if Pitts is there. But I do think defense is smart if the right option isn't there. Hit the like button, says David. David's not wrong. David is smart. David's got a big brain. Big melon on his head. Imagine if the Niners trade up to pick 1 and take Trevor Lawrence. There's no way. I don't think you could even offer something within the realm of reason that Urban Meyer would accept. But I've said this from the start. They should be trying to move the 3 to the 1 by giving up multiple first rounders. And I don't know that even get it done, but I would offer it. I think there's that big of a difference. I would offer multiple first rounders to trade from 3 to 2. That's how much I like Zach Wilson. That's how much I feel like Zach Wilson would lead to more potential rings than Lance would. Lance could make you good, and you'll probably win a championship at some point in the next 10 years. But Wilson makes you that team that people are just scared to hell to face every single week. That's how good Wilson's going to be. Wilson's going to take you to the promised land for a long time. Lance will probably have you dance around there, get in, win one, and I like him. But it's a big difference, man. It's worth multiple first rounders. It 100% is. Smitty, would you trade? Here we go. Back to the trade. Smitty, would you trade Josh Allen for Allen Robinson and Gibson? I have Tom Brady 12. Ray, I need more information than this, bro. Like, is it a super flex? If it's not a super flex, then I would rather have Gibson and Tom Brady on my team, and Allen Robinson too. I mean, Allen Robinson you could trade though. I would trade him away in a dynasty league, but it depends. Do you have is it a 2 QB league? If it's a 2 QB league, I don't know that I go that route. Because Allen's that much more valuable. He's like a top 3 or 4 overall pick. If it's a 1 QB league, I mean, Gibson gets taken before Josh Allen. So, you're getting Gibson, Allen for Gibson and A-Rob for Josh Allen. You're getting a steal because you could trade A-Rob, you could start Gibson, and you got Tom Brady. 2 QB leagues different though, so it depends. Superflex, I assumed, bro. I say keep Josh Allen, bro. Because you draft him in the top 3 or 4 overall. Gibson, you wouldn't. Gibson wouldn't even be in round 1. Probably borderline top of round 3. No. Josh Allen. And Superflex is such a big difference. Like, see how that changed my mind, like, easily. As a Steelers fan, I even like Higgins more. David and both. You're probably answering someone else's question, bro. Sorry. Smitty, what round would you take Najee Harris? I think he will have Josh Jacobs' impact as a rookie. Don't compare to Josh Jacobs, bro. I can't even remember good vibes with that guy. In a redraft, I think Najee Harris has potentially high 3rd round value. I don't want to say late 2nd because we've got a lot of receivers that are elite that could fall there. Ridley's been falling there on occasion. DK's been falling there on occasion. Kelsey sometimes goes the top of round 2, or he could fall to late round 2. I think Gibson should still go above Najee. I think J.K. Dobbins deserves a look. But it depends on where Harris goes. Like, Ramon, I could answer this and blow smoke up your rear end if that's what what you want to hear. But, and I'll answer it. Like, we got to predict things. Like, I always say that. Why do people say I can't answer you until after the draft? I think it's ridiculous thinking. But I'm being honest in that my answer is going to potentially change extremely one direction or the other based on where he goes. So right now I say 3.04, 3.05. Even like Mahomes in a 1 QB league, I still consider right around Najee Harris's value if you like the early QB drafting. But if he goes to Arizona, if he goes to Miami, bro, we're talking about potentially a 3.01, 2.12. Like, Harris could climb really fast in a lot of people's mind. And I don't know if we're going to like the climb, given how, rookies burning us in the past will make us a little wary of it. But depends, bro. DK overrated. I don't agree, Ryan. Shame on you. Josh Jacobs blocked Smitty. Can't believe it. He did, and it doesn't. Everyone always thinks that him blocking me on social media because I ripped him apart for telling everybody he wasn't gonna play, and then he played, and they laughed at everybody like, haha, fantasy, F your fantasy is what he said. Put the bird emoji up on his social media and said F your fantasy. Just talking to his own fans. Like, it's like, why would you, if you follow Josh Jacobs on Instagram and you're following his stories, you're following him. You've clicked follow. I am one of your fans. He's not speaking to people that aren't following him. Only people that follow him are going to see his Instagram story. So he flips off everybody and says F your fantasy and tells people to meet him at the stadium that are arguing with him. Like, the guy's not focused at all. It has nothing to do with that he blocked me. I ripped him apart, rightly so. He deserved to be ripped apart for those shenanigans that he was partaking in. And he's not focused. He's not ready to rumble. I told you all to avoid him. because he's not in the right headspace.
Motion detected at the front door.
Alexa, show me the front door.
Okay.
Who are you? Who are you? Oh, Miss Smitty. Miss Smitty's home. We got multiple packages. We need to tell Miss Smitty to get those. We have multiple Amazon packages delivered as well, sitting right there in front of everybody just to be taken from the world. And the Amazon guy puts the packages upright, right in front of the door. Like he doesn't lay them down or put them behind the nice brick wall that's right there. Lays them upright, sometimes stacks them up. It looks like a building just sitting there, ready to be taken at the front door. It's like, bro, why can't you hide the... I always see that. How do we deliver your package today? And it's like, dude, you put it in a tower. You stacked it for the whole world to see driving by. But as for Jacobs... Alexa, off. As for Jacobs... Computer, how many yards did blah, 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 blah.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Computer, how many yards did Josh Jacobs have in 2020? You're fired. Computer, you're fired.
I have a few skills that can help. Did you mean tell someone they're awesome?
Computer, how many yards did Josh Jacobs have in 2020? What in the... Computer, how many yards did Josh Jacobs rush for in 2020? She's ridiculous. Computer, tell me a joke.
Where do you put an argumentative fighting fish? It's in debatable.
Computer, tell me a joke.
Did you hear about the frog in the no parking zone? It was towed away.
Computer, take a lap.
I don't know that one.
Okay, where was that? Anyway, Jacobs, don't trust him. I told you to stay away from him. They bring in Drake. Clearly, they don't believe in him. It's going to continue. Media says facts. Okay, I think we're good with that. We're going to do the... we're going to do the risk board now. Ding. Risk map, baby. Risk map. So, here's the risk map. Can you guys see better with the light on there? So without ruining it, I got to take all these names off. Here's the risk map. 10, 9, 8, 7. 6, 7. This is your upside right here. So 10 out of 10 upside. Upside is defined as having situation, draft value. Let me send this link to my boy Rob real quick. He's going to come in and we're going to talk risk map. So let me send this to him now. And I'll wait for him to come in before we start. That way I don't have to explain it to you guys again. So let me go over here and we'll just rant for a second. What we did yesterday is we used this risk map. We mapped out players in a more redraft than Dynasty sense, so I said we come back today and redo it and do Dynasty only. I'm gonna erase last week's results so there's no bias or influence. But what we're gonna do essentially on the map, and you can see it up here too. I have well, you can't read it here. I have 10 to 5, 5 to 10. The bottom part of the chart is lack of risk. The left side is upside. And basically what we want to do is find a sweet spot where a player is above 8 to 10 in upside and above 8 to 10 in lack of risk. And that creates a target zone that is the sweet spot that very few players fall into. And it makes for an elite, secure pick and helps you unbiasedly determine which players might have more risk than you're thinking heading into 2021. It can objectively take a player out of, like, let's say Clyde, for example, out of that sweet spot box that you think he's in, and you're objectively saying, but the risk is not in the 8 to 10 range, therefore he is outside of that zone. And it can, you can have a quarterback in there, like Mahomes, for example, will most likely be in that sweet zone of 8 to 10 in upside and 8 to 10 in lack of risk. But it doesn't mean you take him number one overall. He may have one of the highest rankings out of everybody in the NFL in fantasy football because he has the potential to be the most secure in upside and lack of risk at his position. So amongst his position, he will be head and shoulders above a lot of the other quarterbacks. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break it down. They brought in Drake for a reason. That's true. That's true. And so we should see Rob jumping in here. Rob's from Fantasy Football State of Mind. And Rob will be coming in here in a second. So we'll break down. If you guys want anybody plotted on the risk map, definitely drop the name in the chat and we'll kind of go in order of what you guys are saying. So everybody give me their first player that they would like plotted on the map. And then we'll kind of go from there and we'll plot each player. So we'll start off with Christian McCaffrey, maybe Mahomes, kind of show Rob how we're doing it, and then kind of go from there. Now, McCaffrey has like a 10 out of 10 upside. Like there probably is no player with more upside than McCaffrey, but his lack of risk will be higher in Dynasty than it will be in redraft. So it'll be interesting how and where we plot him on this. In redraft, his risk was still 8 to 9, I think, yesterday in redraft, but his upside was 10. So he was inside that sweet zone location. Where are you at? Where are you at, bro? Rob. Ready when you are, bro. Okay, so first players we're going to plot are McCaffrey and Mahomes. So let me throw those guys onto the risk map now. So we're going to throw McCaffrey. So McCaffrey, we're going to put in the queue. Mahomes, we're going to put in the queue. Who else you guys want? Odell Beckham Jr. Probably not going to plot him, bro, because he's almost not worth writing up a card on. No offense, but Odell, if I do that for you now, I'd say his upside's like, I don't know, 7 to 8. And his risk is like 5 or 6, you know. So you're talking about like one of the lowest plotted people we're going to have for the whole day. Because the dude has so much risk. There's no way he's even sniffing 8 to 10. And he's lucky if he doesn't fall off of this. We're not going past 5 because we don't need to rank players. Like, you're going to maybe own players outside of here, but it's not worth our time to plot risk and upside because these players are so much further down the way. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Smitty? How are you, man?
Oh, pretty good. Let me quickly put us on screen here real quickly. All right, this is Rob from Fantasy Football State of Mind from IG. Rob, we're going to be doing the risk map and upside map plotting today.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to let me see if I can. Let's see if I can get you and I in the corner or something here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, and actually I need to put me, let me redo this. 1 second, Rob.
Yeah, no worries, man.
So how you been, man?
I've been good.
You
Been
excited
good,
for
man.
the draft?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like we talk about it, and it's like, it's like a month away. Now we're sitting at, less than a week away. So it's exciting. I think that's the official kickoff of the fantasy football season for me.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time you could actually, justify ADP a little bit based on these rookies coming in. So I'm pumped for it, man. I'm
I am
ready.
too. So let me explain the risk map here. It's 5 to 10 in lack of risk. So a person with zero risk, is 10. Person with minimal risk, 9, 8. The sweet spot zone being, in terms of lack of risk, above 8. The upside, same thing. A player like Christian McCaffrey, his upside's 10. Like, there's no player in football that has a bigger upside than him. So he's above
Right.
the 8 to 10 mark. But where's his lack of risk? And the players that fall above 8 in both categories fall into the sweet spot zone that makes them the most reliable players in fantasy football, and oftentimes can help you be unbiased with your analysis if you can separate these two things and really plot somebody honestly. And you might say, man, I guess they have more risk than I thought, and sometimes it's
Right.
kind of telling. So we're going to start out with Christian McCaffrey. We're going to go with the chat and plot who they want next. But Christian McCaffrey, would you agree he has upside of 10? And this is going to be Dynasty. We're doing Dynasty for this particular set of players.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Okay. The question becomes, in a redraft setting, he was still in a risky place of not a risky place. He was still above 8, in my opinion, because there were lingering injuries. He didn't have an ACL tear or something like that. But he was still in the 8 to 9 range. Do you, in Dynasty, because of the mileage, do you put him outside of the 8 zone and move him outside of this box? Or do you still feel like in Dynasty he's comfortable?
I still feel he's comfortably there, just based on the age. He's only 24 years old. So when I'm still looking at him in the situation in the offense, there's no reason why he shouldn't have at least 2 to 3 more really solid years for me.
Very overworked. Highest command of a player's or a team's percentage of player used, I believe, in his entire career so far. Like his little block of time, there's no player utilized more percentage-wise than McCaffrey, but he does mix it up between receptions and rushes. He did kind of, in a way, get rest last year, and like Kamara, everyone doubting Kamara coming off his little tiny lingering injury season in 2019. They were very disappointed in themselves when they passed him over in 2020, and he came back with a terror and a vengeance. So I think I agree. I feel like if I'm drafting number 1 overall in a startup dynasty draft, he's going number 1 to me. So that
Right.
must mean he has multiple years left. I agree. I think he doesn't fall in the 9 range, but put him right above 8 in terms of lack of risk, and put him at 10. He's so far, because he's the only player put there, the highest plotted player on the risk map. Okay, Mahomes. And the thing that's interesting about this is that Mahomes could rank higher than him. Doesn't mean you draft players higher, but positionally, he might be the most secure player at his position based on
Right.
this plotting. So Mahomes, what would you say his upside is?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about someone that can finish number 1 at the position, hands down. I think him and McCaffrey kind of share similar upside ranking, so I'm putting him right there at the 10th
And would
spot.
you agree that he's higher than McCaffrey in terms of lack of risk, more like the 9 to 10?
Yeah, I think quarterbacks in general are safer when evaluating risk percentage, so I'm not at all concerned with Pat Mahomes and getting hurt.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good about this slotting right here. Next up, we got an Odell Beckham Jr. And I said I don't think it's even worth writing up a card on him. So I just said, bro, we're talking about below 8 upside, maybe. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Odell's upside. I think his situation isn't. It's not like he's, like we're all thinking, okay, he can be a top 5 to 10 wide receiver anymore. It's more like, man, can he stay healthy at all? And so his lack of risk is so low. I put him like right here. If even on this map, he might be outside.
So, not to go away too far from what we're doing here, but is Odell someone that you're touching even as a wide receiver 3 option this year, or are you avoid at all risks?
I mean, I don't think I could draft him as my 3rd receiver. I think there's too many other receivers that I like more. Okay. So that are still probably available when he's on the clock. Now, I haven't done a lot of deep mock drafts, so he hasn't even been drafted at all. And we go 5 or 6 rounds deep in most of my mock drafts, and then we restart them, and because I like to move them along. I hate being in round 15 or 18, and it's not fun to me. So after round 6, we cut it. And he's yet to be taken, I think, in any of our mocks. So I don't even know where I would be comfortable drafting him. But Odell's not even.
You bring up a good point. I feel like he's probably a 7th rounder at this point, which is crazy when you think about the tear that he went on his first 3 seasons. So with that being said, Smitty, I'm going to go ahead and throw him at the 6 in terms of the upside side of things, with the risk going more into the 9. I'm sorry. You mean the less? Yeah, I mean that's going to be penciled in specifically on a 6 to 6 then for me.
So would his lack of risk be like a 2 or 3? Because it's like inverse.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, I mean his risk is high.
So like, would it be like his lack of risk being like a 1 or a 2 or a 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion detected at the front door.
We got more packages. Alexa, show me the front door. We got to check. I'd hate to be robbed live on the show and be like, man.
You're like, there goes my Amazon package.
There's someone there. That's it, Miss Smitty? Oh, okay. There's more packages. Okay. All right. Alexa, off. All right, next up, what are we going with? Throw some names out. Okay, let's do Clyde. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Okay.
I'm going to let you give me his upside and his risk. And you're the guest, so I'll maybe nudge it a little bit or something, but I want you to plot this one.
I'm actually very curious as to where you have him ranked. Maybe it's too soon to tell, but do you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a no-brainer 2nd round pick?
No. His ADP's in the 3rd round, and that's comfortable for me. I think it's when you start talking about 2nd round value, you're almost putting the same pressure on him as last year, where he can't have any kind of mishaps or they don't use him in PPR enough.
Yep.
I'm very comfortable with Clyde as my 3rd drafted player, and I think his upside is still above 8. I could definitely accept someone saying it's right at 8. I can see somebody saying it's higher, but I think comfortable place saying that, upside being, you could define it 100 different ways, but opportunity, the offense. What's the upside? Essentially, the upside, I should have defined this for you at the beginning. Upside, you can think of like the ability to, dominate his position. So could Clyde be in the top 5 to 10 running backs? I believe he could. And his lack of risk is where we address the likelihood of it. So upside, I think he's got the upside of 8. That's why everybody drafted him in the 1st round last year. COVID made it so that he couldn't grasp the passing game opportunities as much as he should have. Will they feed him more receptions in 2021, or will we see the same kind of like getting phased out here and there? That's where we address the lack of risk that he has. So upside, I would say at least 8, but would you say there or higher?
I think it's a little higher, to be honest. I mean, if he figures it out, if he has a full off season, if he's the starting running back getting 60 to 70% of the touches out of that backfield.
So 9?
Well, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put him in the 9.
I like that.
Chart.
I like that. I was trying to be cautious, but I like that. You can talk me into it in a heartbeat. Okay, so his risk, though, We saw, I mean, the thing about Clyde is like, he did well, you know, like he had like 7 goal line carries where he was stuffed, but it was play calling. It wasn't his fault. I think everybody assuming that Andy Reid is like, this guy's no longer the goal. Like, you're assuming things when you say he's no longer the goal line back. He did amazing things between the tackles in the third and fourth quarter. I know I've repeated this over and over. Everybody can even like regurgitate it back against the best defenses in college football and made them all, he ran circles around them. Like, he can run between the tackles. He needs to be used properly. He didn't absorb the offense the right way during a COVID offseason. Most rookies didn't. A lot of the rookies weren't PPR monsters in 2020 for that reason. So I think there's still risk that he could get phased out, or we saw the Chiefs not lean on him like we expected. So risk is there. But would you say it's below 8?
Yeah, I think it's below 8. I mean, he's a rookie going into that season, and I think you spoke about this where the offensive playbook for Andy Reid and the Chiefs is very complex.
Yeah.
And it's not something that was very simple to take on in year one, so they lean more on a veteran as the year went on. So, but all that aside, I mean, he's freaking 22 years old. Like, he's going to be just fine. He's going to get plenty of opportunity. So I actually don't feel that there's high risk at all. So I think we're on the same page saying that this guy's going to be someone that we both want in the third round.
So when I said below 8 would be bad. You know, so I'm saying he's a 9 upside. Yeah. Is he above 8 in lack of risk?
I think he's at 8.
Okay. So is he not inside the box? He's more like on the verge?
Yeah, he's like halfway out the box.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That actually proves this to be, I think, pretty effective. We'll let someone rob us that time. Miss Smitty's home. She can handle it. You know, she can knock on the door. I got the recording light on. I have a light that says recording. But, you know, if it's an emergency, she'll come banging on the door. I think this is telling because I would want to rank him higher, but I believe this to be true and safe and unbiased. So Clyde is not in the like safety box, the sweet spot zone. He's on the verge. In one category he is, one category he's not. I like that.
Yep. Let's do Miles Sanders next.
Miles Sanders, do I have him? I feel like I have him somewhere. I might have to write him out. Now what? Alexa, show me the front door. What is going on? They know I'm live 4 to 7 every day. Or no, not yet. I don't know. It's probably okay. So let's. I'll find a card for him as we go. We'll do Miles Sanders next. Let's do a controversial one. Let's do Lamar. You're doing this one.
I feel like you're predicting an inevitable injury waiting to happen. I think that's where you're at. For me, I'm not there yet. So I'm going to go upside 10 because he's someone that can finish right there next to Pat Mahomes. And I'm going to go risk factor. I'm going to go 9. So I'm very high on him.
Okay, so risk factor.
I'm going to put him in the box.
Okay, so 9, and then where was his upside, you said?
10.
Man.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Like, if this dude puts it together, he wins leagues. So
yeah,
he's that guy.
I'm gonna massage this ranking just a little bit. I'm gonna say upside 9. And I feel like I'm gonna put him
right in that Clyde area.
I'm gonna put him on the line. We're gonna do this together, but I'm gonna try and let you do it. But I feel like on that one, I feel like he's got. I feel like the upside's there for sure. I nudged him down 1 because I don't think he's CMC upside, but I think he's right there. But I feel like we saw him fail last year. We saw him falter. Probably about the first half of the season, people were willing to like bench him, and you could trade for him very cheaply. and people were giving up on him entirely. So he did bad enough, and he looked figured out, is what a lot of people would say, unfairly, but he looked figured out, and I think that there's at least room to not put him in that elite class for me. Only because when I think about this, Mahomes is in the elite class. If there's anybody worth drafting, like early for quarterbacks, Mahomes is the guy you'd maybe bank on, right? I feel like Lamar, there's so many players like him, like Herbert, even you could even say like Russell Wilson or A-Rod or somebody that at a lower value is worth taking a gamble on more than Lamar. I feel like Lamar to me doesn't scream worth reaching for, whereas Mahomes feels that way, and I feel like guys in that box will be those guys. So that's why I'm going to nudge him out just to keep him slightly out.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. Kyler. Try Kyler. Kyler Murray.
Oof. I think he finishes the third best quarterback in fantasy football this year, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even second. I have to double check that. Risk is low. The thing I love about Kyler Murray is he's one of those players that really has a knack for sliding and avoiding big hits. And despite him being a little player, I think he's perfected it, almost Russell Wilson status. So I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go 9-9. So I'm going to put him right there next to Mahomes, right underneath.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm like that. Maybe we even rotate. So we'll let you control it. So I won't manipulate your ranking anymore. You do what you feel, and I'll do one. Next one up, request is for Gibson. Gibson has like an 8-9 upside. Like, and I say that because the odds of him being like the number 1 running back, I don't think are great. The odds of him being like even 2 or 3 is, it could happen, but it's not. I think he's more like an 8 to 9. Like the upside's huge, but I don't want to give out 9 to 10. Like I want it to be hard earned ranking. So I'm gonna say like around almost at 9, but between 8 and 9. The risk is still real because the dude hasn't been a full-time running back ever until he hit the pros, and that usually just doesn't translate. It's weird that it did. They use him perfectly there. I still love him, but I think it would be unfair to put him inside the box only because I feel like that leaves no room for other. I just feel like Gibson and Clyde are like in the same boat.
He had a good season last year. Finishes the number 14 running back in fantasy football, just a little bit below 800 yards rushing. The majority of his production came through touchdowns because he scored 11 rushing touchdowns. Do you think he does better than finish? Do you think he does better or worse than 14th?
I think he could duplicate that or get like 12 to 14, but I think he'll get a little bit more everywhere else. Adding the extra game too sucks because when we do these projections now, we have to consider that they're all being given another 60, 70 yards, another 3-4 receptions, another potential touchdown. So that's what I hate about adding this extra game. But I think he'll more than duplicate last year's yardage in receptions, but 12 to 14 TDs is a lot. So I think that would be a good, I wouldn't expect more, but could he score 12 to 13, 14? Sure.
Do you feel the offense is better than it was last year?
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I think Fitzmagic will do well. I think he'll feed McLaurin. McLaurin will be able to stretch the field a little bit better and get open more.
Samuel too.
Yeah, be productive. That's going to help defenses not be like, okay, well now we know their weapons. Gibson, we're going to shut him down. Like he'll have a lot of room. J-Rob, you get full control over this. It's no secret that I think he's undervalued, but there's a risk that a lot of people think he's risky. I'm curious to know where you plot him.
How similar is he and Gibson?
Very.
If you think about it, like even with how the offense is taking kind of a step ahead, I feel like these guys are so similar. In fact, I expect them to be drafted around the same area too. With that being said, I feel like I like J-Rob a little bit more than Gibson because as opposed to Gibson, where it was a short sample size, where he did get double-digit carries, they rode Robinson all year. If you owned him in fantasy football, you were thrilled. And for someone that's going into their second year, With a new offense, new quarterback, I feel like they're going to continue to just lean on him. So I feel like his upside is a little bit above Gibson's, and I feel like he's less of a risk. So I'm going to go ahead and plot him at the 8.5, if you can put him right there in the middle.
Okay.
And 8. So again, it's going to be right there.
Which one's 8.5?
8.5 there on the upside.
Okay.
With an 8 on the risk, so right there. Yeah.
So right above Gibson.
Yeah, I like him a little bit better.
Okay, so we can't even see Clyde. We can't see Gibson anymore. They're going to kind of vanish. Claypool. I'm going to leave that one for you because I've talked Claypool up a bit here and there, so I'd like to see where you have him. So I'm going to write Claypool on here for you.
Chase Claypool.
Yeah. So you go ahead and do this one now.
Okay. Upside 8. Risk. He's in the red. I'm going to go ahead and put him in like the 6.
So upside 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then
talent wise, this dude is nice, but there's not a lot of changes that have happened. If Juju Smith-Schuster was no longer part of the team, I'd feel great about it. But because they still have their weapons, pretty much have the same offense as they did a year ago, I'd feel like target distribution just isn't going to be in his favor. So
it's dynasty. So if Big Ben leaves,
that's
we don't exactly know what's going to happen and how he's going to get fed properly. Like, so Spencer, what's up, Spencer? I know Spencer's a huge Claypool guy. He thinks he's going to be a beast. And I think that you show the respect there by giving him 8 upside because the dude's got that alpha potential. But, the risk is really there only because the situation is not locked and loaded for the future. I like that. Ridley, I'm going to put Ridley at a 9 or 9.5 because positionally, again, it comes down to position for this, I think. And positionally, he's proved he could be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. He was so last year for a string of time. So I think 9.5 is respectable. And the risk doesn't feel that. I think he goes like right here. I mean, at least for me. I think Ridley's got the potential to be top 5 for sure. I mean, he already kind of was. What do you think about that?
4. He was 4. I was talking to Couch not too long ago, and I felt that he could make a push for the 1.
Yeah.
He could be the 1.01.
I mean,
that's the upside that we're talking about. In fact, he was the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football for a
while.
Yeah.
For a while.
So,
it wasn't like 2 games. It was like for a while.
It was like 4 or 5 games.
And then Julio had a surge, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, really? No, Julio got hurt. I don't think Julio stays healthy.
Neither do I. But I think Ridley's someone that they can count on. And over 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 90 receptions in 15 games. Like, I'm all about Calvin Ridley. I'm going to put him in the 9.9.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw Diggs right on top of him because I feel like it's the same thing.
Diggs carries a little bit more risk just based on the fact that this is – I think this – correct me if I'm wrong, Smitty, but is this the only season he's played the full 16 so far? Yeah.
How many games did he miss the previous seasons?
It was 13, 14, 15, 15, 16. So the last few years haven't been bad, but this is the season that he put it all together.
Yeah, but I feel like he feels the same zone. Like you could put him maybe a touch down, maybe like that, so you can read them both. Yeah, but it's still they're both freaking locked in. In my opinion, Stephon Diggs finished right above Calvin Ridley last year in overall fantasy points, so he was 3. Calvin Ridley was 4. Jay's in here from the Pace League that I'm doing, where I'm playing against Darren Waller and T-Pain. T-Pain's in the league. Hugh Jackson, former Browns coach, he's in the league.
How'd you get into that league?
Jay knows all these like strangely placed people all over, but
congrats, man. That's
yeah,
really
Andy
exciting.
Holloway's in it, and I think he's only in it like because Andy Holloway and the footballers, they pretty much say no. They do some, they do a lot of stuff just in their lane, which I respect because they've already made it. They're not mingling with everybody else right now. They don't need to, But I was told that the reason Andy's in it is because he's a huge Hugh Jackson fan. So like that got him in the league. But Hugh Jackson, Marcus Grant from NFL Fantasy, and then Michael F. Florio from, I believe, NFL Network. Is he? I forget where he's at. Not Michael Florio, Michael F. Florio. But anyways, it's a cool league.
Smitty, you better win the league. And if you need a co-manager to help you run it, I mean, I'm right here.
T-Pain, the rapper, he just went ahead and said that he's going to dominate, and he doesn't even know what he's doing, but he's going to press buttons and go in there and dominate us. But I told him to buckle up. I'm going to make a song for him if he beats me. I'm going to make a song regardless. But Waller is in the league, and the line everybody's been using, I felt like I said it first, but everybody's been saying it. I said I was going to beat Waller drafting Darren Waller. Like, I was going to beat him in his own game. But everybody's saying that now. But Waller, where do you rank him? And again, upside in terms of position and, lack of risk. Is it a low risk? Is it medium? Oakland is part of that risk. Usage is part of that risk. Derek Carr staying healthy or whoever's quarterbacking is part of that risk. Plot it.
But you know what else is part of the risk is the tight end position as a whole. Right? There's not a lot of Darren Wallers out there. There's not a lot of people that can put up 90, 1,105.
Yep.
So for me, 10 and 8. I think some of those factors that you threw in there make a lot of sense. But he could very well finish as the 1.01 at the position.
Okay. I like it. J.K. Dobbins. I want you to do this one too. I'll help tweak this one. We'll do this one.
So I don't know how you feel about J.K. Dobbins. I'm a big J.K. Dobbins guy this year. The Baltimore Ravens ran the ball more than anybody in the league. We're the most efficient running team, and now that Mark Ingram is no longer there, I know he's still going to share some time with Gus Edwards, but for me, J.K., if he just takes that next step, I think he can be a league winner. So for me, the upside's 9, but he's going to fall in the red in the risk factor. I'm going at a 7, so 9-7.
Yeah, I agree. Because this guy is top 5 running back capable, but his situation, just because Ingram's gone, it doesn't mean that he's guaranteed what we all hope he's and think he deserves. Like, he deserves better than this, but he's not going to get it. This is where
he could split 50-50, and that doesn't really help. So I think that's a good ranking right there, man. To be honest.
Yeah, Lamb.
Ooh,
I'm going to say.
Man.
Yeah,
I'll let you do this one, dude.
I want to still respect 10. I don't want to give out 10 like a second place trophy, but I feel like he's in that 9 to 10 range for sure. And there's not many people higher on him than I am, so I feel I want to give him a 10. I just want to put him like right in between there. And then I want to say that as much as I want to say there's no risk to Dak staying healthy. Or, what happens, there's still risk, but I think it's clearly inside the safe zone. But I'm going to say like right here is about where I feel Lamb ranks. And I think he has room to do better than that, but I think that's a safe, honest place to put him. I think if you put him at 10, I really want to save 10 for like just a couple people, that get that 10 spot. And I think he could earn that, but I think there's nothing wrong with 9.5.
So I feel like Lamb is somebody that you're going to be targeting at will in every single draft.
Yeah, because I mean, his upside from third round value is. I mean, you could actually argue that if I phrase it that way, you could argue that's 10. I mean, because it's not like he has to be the number one player at his position. He has to be the most bang for the buck, too. And at third round value, it really is a 10. It really is a 10. The risk is where I can factor in all the rest of it that I worry about, and I think that's what puts him at like 8.5, 9 for risk.
Well, you've been doing mock drafts. Where's he going?
And my mock drafts, like, shameful. Like, my people are just wanting to take him, so they take him at like 2.4, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like I talk him up, and then everybody wants to snipe him or whatever, and we're ruining his ADP.
It's like what you did with
Clyde?
It's like what you did with A.J. Brown last year.
Yeah, A.J. Like, I know it sounds arrogant, but I really wonder how much, like, can you actually, if you could measure how much the hyping that I do behind, like, one or two guys actually influences their ADP, because we mock draft a lot on the platforms that we rely upon the data on, and then it's not like it's just the amount of mocks that I do with my followers. It's the mocks that they do the days and days after, like over and over and over. It's like thousands of mock drafts where AJ Brown's going and getting people trying to snipe each other for him. And I feel like Lamb, I hope to God he doesn't reach the round 2 range, because he's win a league like at round 3 material.
Yeah, a healthy Dak Prescott, if he's going to be tossing the rock like he was last year when he was healthy, we essentially saw one of the best offenses in football. So that's kind of the reason why I'm going to be looking at Zeke Elliott at the end of the first round a lot this year. And I'm on board with the Lamb train, man. So if we're in a league together, which we are in a lot, we're probably going to have to reach a whole round earlier for him.
Stay away from him. Zeke, you mentioned him. Go. This is all you.
Zeke. Okay. Zeke has seen a decline each year he's been in the league, which sucks. But some of it's situational. So for me, he's going to be right in the 8. I think his
4 corners.
I think his ceiling this year is he could finish like number 5, 6. But I don't know. He could also finish 12th.
4 corners. Okay. DK, you do this one.
Oh man, DK is it exploded, man. And I have my rankings up here just with where he finished last year. How good was this guy, man? I know you were teetering between DK and AJ in a lot of situations. DK Metcalf finishes the 5th best receiver in fantasy football. And this is Dynasty, so like what, 10-10?
I don't know if I could put him there, because you're drafting him. Let's consider upside. You're drafting him at what, like 14?
I mean, in Dynasty, there's an argument to be made in the top 12.
Okay, so I feel like his ability to outperform that doesn't feel 10, because he's already kind of like getting drafted there. I'm not saying he's not like high, but in my opinion, and you can plot him wherever you want, 10-10, that would make him the most valuable player in fantasy football, and I don't know that I feel that way. I love him.
Okay. Now that you say it that way, let me read off the players that finished ahead of him: Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley. If you could keep DK Metcalf or any of those other 3 for the next 3-4 years, I'm maybe only considering Tyreek Hill. But
let me put it this way: we have Diggs right here, and who was the other receiver? Ridley. Do you really feel he's more valuable than Diggs and Ridley? Because we plotted them about 9-9. Okay,
so for me with that, I'll go 9-9. I think he's right in the middle of those guys, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's more because I feel like these guys. Like, we have Kyler pretty high. Like, I personally have Kyler a little bit more toward the middle of this box versus the edge.
Okay.
Mahomes is the only guy that's literally in the corner, like the most valuable player given the upside factor. And it's true, because if he's getting drafted at 3.4, and he can outscore everybody. Now, the question always becomes is, can you get a Herbert later and still? Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing where to draft him. I'm just saying arguably – for the position. I mean, with the extra game, he could throw 55 TDs like in any given year.
Yep.
So it's kind of scary.
You're right. I wanted to see if you have Justin Jefferson in the mix, and I'm curious. I'm curious for you, in a dynasty perspective, man. Like, where do you plot him? That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I mean,
1,400 yards receiving as a rookie was ridiculous.
I mean, he's going around, depending on the league, the people you're drafting with. He's going around 10 to, some people that only play Dynasty would take him like 2 or 3 overall. Like, it's so different who you're playing with. Other Dynasty startups, you'll see him go at 12 to 15. Like, he still goes way too late. So it all depends on where you get him. But I think he's got top 1 to 5, like, locked in appeal if he's healthy. And the only reason I would say he may not be 10 is because I don't know that I love Cousins for the long-term option. Whereas I love CeeDee Lamb looking with, he's got Dak. He's got an offense that I think is going to throw a ton because the defense isn't elite. I think it could be much improved. To talk about that earlier in the show. Everyone judging it based on last year when they had no quarterback. But still, they're going to throw a ton. I think Cousins just worries me a little bit, but not that much. I mean, Dak, Cousins, they both could get hurt at any moment. So I think 10. He's the most 10-10 capable wide receiver, I think, out of all the wide receivers. Like even Adams we might have it at 10 upside. Let's do Adams.
That's tough, right?
We'll do AJ Brown next. Adams, Barkley, and where's Adams at? Adams. Here we go. So these are our next up. Go Adams. I'll let you do it.
He's getting up there, right? I mean, and if we're evaluating this from a dynasty perspective, he had his best season ever, 18 touchdowns. A lot of that came from the resurgence of Aaron Rodgers. How long does Aaron Rodgers have in Green Bay? That's something that you got to factor in. So I think the upside, I'm going to go ahead and go 9. And then with the risk factor, I'm going to go 8. Again, because we're just talking about dynasty here. I think if it's a redraft, he's particularly safe for next year. But if we're talking about a few seasons, yeah. So 9-8.
9-8. Okay. 9 upside. AJ Brown. I feel like AJ Brown is at least where Diggs and Ridley are, and you could say a tiny bit better in both upside and risk. So I'd put him like there. I think he's capable of being the 10-10 guy, but I feel like Jefferson's going to be a bigger volume guy, even though there's vacated targets. I feel like A.J. Brown probably in that offense, the way they use him, and if they're going to add talent, Jefferson will have more opportunity long-term. So I feel like Jefferson should rank above him, but I think A.J. Brown slightly above Ridley in both and slightly above Diggs.
Yeah, A.J. Brown's interesting, right? So he finished as the number 10 receiver in fantasy football last year. Out of the top 12, he had the lowest amount of targets within that batch, and he still finished 10th. So I think his 106 in targets, what do you think, Smitty? Does he go up 20 targets? Does he go up 30 targets now that Corey Davis and Adam Humphries is out?
I mean, you're going to replace those targets.
Right.
You're going to replace some of it, but a rookie's not going to command all of it. So, what do you have reception? What do you have reception wise last year?
Not a lot, 70.
Yeah, but he played 14 games.
Right.
So times 6.
He was nicked, and he was banged up last year, and he still did that.
70 divided by 14 times 16 times 17 is 85. So even if he didn't see more targets, he would be looking at 85 receptions. So I think with an extra game, 95 is very, very. Like, what records are going to be broke? Like, who's going to get the reception record right off the bat in 2021? The most receptions ever by a wide receiver, because that.
I don't think people are going to come close to the Michael Thomas 141. I think that's where he was at, or 149. Somebody correct me on that.
Yeah, maybe not.
But he can make a push for definitely a huge boost in touchdowns and yardage. So
let's do MT.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Brown is at the 9 level. I think that's kind of where you have him, right? Like 9-9.
Okay, what about let's do MT while you mention him, and then we'll do Akers next. Barkley.
Man, Michael Thomas is one of the most interesting players going into this year. Like so many different factors. So for me, the Michael Thomas is a target volume dependent player that's extremely talented. So I'm going to go ahead and put him at the 8.5 with a risk factor in the 7s. So not great, unfortunately. You're probably much higher than him than I am.
No, I mean, I like him in the 3rd round. I think he becomes like a steal in the 3rd, 3.5 range. Like, he goes from a void to a value pretty quickly. But it's like 3rd drafted player for sure. Like 3rd drafted player value, or I'm out, I think.
Yeah, are you not touching him at all in the second?
No,
because I feel that's where he's going to go.
Not. Yeah, that's why I think he's a steal in the third, like mid third. He sometimes falls there, depending on the group of people you're drafting with. But I just think there are too many play. Like you see Ridley or DK fall sometimes in the second round like that. You see Gibson. Obviously
I'm taking him over.
Yeah,
I'm taking him over Gibson.
And even like a Mahomes, I feel like if you're good at early QB drafting, and not everybody loves it, but if you are, Mahomes is still safer than MT as your third drafted player, because if MT leaves you hanging, he still hasn't had the ligament surgery yet, so I don't even know what to expect. That's not good for a guy that couldn't, like, he try and come back on the field and couldn't stay on the field. I don't like that his decision was to not have ligament surgery. That feels like a potential repeat for 2021. We just went through that in 2022. I don't like the way he's been healing on his own.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point.
Akers, let's let you do this because I'm pretty critical of Akers. Not so much that I don't like him, but everyone's drafting him at like number 10 overall is just out of control to me. And so I think there's more risk than probably most people. But I want to know. I'm going to let you do this. I'm not going to touch it. You plot him.
I'm gonna go 8
upside,
but I'm gonna go 8-7. I think he has potential to finish in the top 12, and that's why he's going so high. But I also question, Sean McVay and his rotation.
Like, everyone needs to realize logic. You can't just use your own logic when you're calculating the risk or lack of risk. Like, the Rams have proven that you can't say it's an 8 or 9 or a 10. Like, they've proven that they can't be trusted with their running back. So for me, it's pretty easy to say, at most you could say on the 8, in my opinion, for the risk level. Like, that's a good 80% chance of working out like phenomenally. That's a high percentage for Akers. His talent, I could argue even his talent might be 8.5, 8, sure. But I agree with you. I think it's like, that's perfectly placed because, like, you got MT working out at his 3.1 or 3.3 value feels about the same as Akers working out at like 15 overall, but people are taking him at like 11 or 10 overall.
Dude, so he's going top 10 overall?
He is, and a lot of, especially Dynasty, but and a lot of redraft too. He goes, when most people with that 12 or 13, you'll see him take Akers and Swift together, or Akers and a wide receiver, whatever, but Akers is often at that bookend turn.
Dude, there's no way. I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I thought he was a third rounder. I didn't know he was going up in the top 15.
And
wow.
And they're vocal. The Akers, like, you get hit pretty hard when you're like, you don't believe in Akers, dude. You're gonna be sorry. You're gonna be sorry for this. You're gonna regret you've ever said this. I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm taking Calvin Ridley. And if you're right and I'm right, who's wrong, bro? Like, I'm sleeping fine. Like, you did well. He worked. Good job. But I got Ridley, baby.
I think that this is where this sort of thing really comes into play, is that scenario that you just played out, the Ridley carries so much less risk, meaning, like, best case scenario for Akers, it matches Ridley's value, which is a good point.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I said, I always tell people, if I throw out my arbitrary number of there's a 45% chance that Akers delivers on top 10 overall value, or 35% or whatever. That is not a high enough percentage for me to be in at that ADP. And is there a chance that he proves me wrong? I just told you 30% chance. Like, everyone says you're going to be wrong. I could be wrong. Like, that's why I'm putting a percentage on it. But when you play, are you going to go to Vegas and play a game that gives you a 30% chance of winning, or 49% chance? You're not getting 50. But what are you going to play? So it's not that I'm saying there's a 0% chance he works out. I just don't like I want my guy to be in like the 70 or 80% chance in my mind, or really at 10 or 12 overall, way higher odds of him working out.
Biggest reason for that, Smitty, is the fact that, like, you can lose your entire league off of busting in your first and second pick. So it is crucial that you do the best to mitigate risk in the first and second round, because if it goes, it goes. Your season can be over fairly quickly. If you went Cam Akers in the first, Michael Thomas in the second, next thing you know, you have nothing.
Let's do this in 1 minute. We're gonna do these 4.
Let's do it.
Maybe 5. So we're gonna go quick.
Oof.
JT, hurry.
JT, I'm gonna go 9-8.
9-8. Chubb,
Something right there.
this is you.
I love my boy Nick Chubb. I'm gonna go 9-9.
Whoa.
Yep.
I would say 9 upside risk is more around the 7 to 8 for me, because I fear
that's probably right. That's my own personal. That's my own personal.
I didn't do that. Okay, Henry, 2,000-yard season. Running backs fall apart after it.
People might think I'm crazy. I'm gonna go 8-8.
I agree. He's on the 4 corners, bro. I don't feel comfortable with him bringing it not only in 1 year after the 2,000-yard season, but in Dynasty.
Yep.
Heavy, big dude, hitting the ground over and over again. Carries are through the roof. 2,000-yard seasons break running backs. I don't like it. I like 8-8. That's good. Barkley?
Ooh, 10. 10-8.
10-8. I like it. That feels good. That feels right. And
Yeah,
last
you can
guy,
finish with 1.01.
I'm letting you do this. No influence whatsoever until you leave. Then I'm gonna move it. No, I'm just kidding. Kelsey?
Yeah, right. Okay. Travis Kelce is 10-10. There's
Woo!
literally
No, Dynasty though. This is Dynasty.
Yeah, it's still 10-10. I think
Really?
you still have 2 to 3 great seasons out of him. Yeah, like who else at the tight end position are you going to put up there? He's finished number 1 the last 5 years. It is ridiculous what this guy's been able to do. Patrick Mahomes is still his quarterback. There's been no signs of Travis Kelce slowing down. Like, give me that.
I hear you. I just feel like in Dynasty it's but you're right. I mean, if we stop looking at this, what this whole board is about, this map is not placing him ADP wise. It's predicting the upside, the lack of risk, and all that. So, like, that makes sense, that in Dynasty, what this tells us, if this is correct, and I would say it's more like not 10 upside for sure, but like 8, 9, somewhere around there. But it's still inside the box for Dynasty. Tells us that in Dynasty, he's being grossly undervalued because people are worried about being 24 years old versus 28. Or how old is he?
31.
31 versus 27 or 28. Like Waller's like 29 or 8.
Yeah. And then George Kittle, right? He carries a lot of risk himself. So
yeah, Kittle would be. I would say Kittle would be like upside like 9, but then risk is like 8 or something like that.
He might be in the 7s, to be honest, with the risk. But
put him right there.
But with all that being said, that's where Travis Kelce is sticking out. He's far beyond better than anybody else at the position, just because of his situation. The dude has just been ridiculous, man. Like, you can look at his numbers, you're like, what in the world? So that's me, man. But this was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for doing it. And you guys make sure you follow. Let me hold on 1 second. I got a little technical issue here. Trying to split all these cameras and screens makes it sometimes funny, but go follow my boy Rob at Fantasy Football State of Mind on Instagram. He's got one of the bigger fantasy football pages on Instagram, so we always appreciate him chiming in. See you next Thursday, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good job. I like this. Maybe we'll do redraft next time. We did a morph of redraft Dynasty last time, but we'll do redraft next time.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun, man. Thanks for having me on, Smitty. I appreciate it, man.
Yep, later.
Later.
So, anyway, some of you guys won't agree. What is Tony saying? There's Tony the Tiger. Tony the Attorney. The single best bet in a casino is don't come in. Don't come. Oh, don't come. I thought he was saying don't come in the casino. Don't come line in craps. 1.14 to 1 odds. Wow. Really? I thought when I was first reading, I'm like, don't come in the casino is the best. That's the best bet, probably, Tony, to be true and honest. But the don't come line in craps is 1.14 to 1. That's pretty solid. Kenny Powers says, I don't know what player you're referring to, not liking. But that's going to do it for us. We've got the outro music here. And I want to thank all of you for coming by. If you missed most of the show, definitely make sure you rewatch it because we covered a lot. We talked about a lot. We talked about the Cowboys. We talked about the Cardinals. We talked about the NFL draft. We talked about all the rookies. We talked about the top 5. We plotted most all the big name players on the risk and upside map, which I think is becoming and going to continue to be one of the bigger parts of the show. And it's fun. At any moment, you'd be like, Smitty, plot the man. Plot the man on the risk map and let me know what you're thinking. That's going to do it for this episode of the Fantasy Football Show Live. I'm your man, Smitty. Join me here every single Tuesday and Thursday from 4 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to get on to heysmitty.com. Let me write that up here. heysmitty.com. And you can text me at heysmitty.com. Text me. Let's improve your team. Let's figure out some trades. On-demand texting with your man Smitty at heysmitty.com. And don't forget to check out sleeperu.com. Sleeper, the letter U, like a university. All of which you can find at smitty1.com. If it's all too confusing for you, I've consolidated it all in one place where you can order the phone calls. You can get the Sleeper U rankings and bold predictions. It's all at smitty1.com. I will see you Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't be late. Later. See you, Tony.